boast that she knows that I'm almost famous. Neck bang bang, and we dangerous remaining. Time steady changing. I don't know these niggas, and I don't wanna know them. This girl just want that big moment, so she can blow it. That's bogus, but I don't tell her what's what. Don't wanna be stuck, cause she's so starstruck. Wanna be around us, but I just rather play the field, rather keep it real, rather take you out, rather tell you how I feel, and show you that this game is for real. Cause I know that you're in love, you're looking for a star. Walked all this way to find a man with a car, hanging at the bar, champagne, caviar. No, you never seen a nigga like this, like this. You never seen a nigga like this, like this. Girl, you never seen a nigga like this, like this. You never seen a nigga like this, like this. Girl, you never seen a nigga like this. So quit it, you spend seconds, hours, minutes working on your fitness for a nigga to witness. Go quit it, I ain't tripping. You ain't the baddest bitch I'll ever meet. The homie said he already be in the backseat of a Honda Jeep. So the Lord shit you can really keep him so cold on him, so cold on him. You homies in the feds, cause bitch niggas done told on him. Seen them boys in the streets and did a lot more, just stole on them. Niggas know the pen when they feel the heat of that stove on them. Send the hell, the Lord don't want them. But these girls in church Sunday morning, Saturday was out pouring. Show me a worthy opponent, show me a match. No nigga, I face mine. Now my mind, no hang time. That's MJ on the baseline. Girl, I know that you're in love, you're looking for a star. Walked all this way to find a man with a car, hanging at the bar, champagne, caviar. No, you never seen a nigga like this.
Shabaka, I gotta play the other clip.
No, what happened?
I wanna see my cars on flatbeds. Hey, this is a recession, selling that crack, yeah. Niggas selling super sour bionic glue, and got Superman powers when I'm stressed new. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. Yeah. John Dillinger shit. Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. Yeah. John Dillinger shit. Niggas in the hood wanna see my cars on flatbeds. Hey, this is a recession, selling that crack, yeah. Niggas selling super sour bionic glue, and got Superman powers when I'm stressed new. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga.
Greetings. We're back. Round 2.
Hey.
I don't know what happened. We got disconnected. So we got to redo it all over again. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Front Line Blacc News. I'm your host, Chan Krummer. I'm joined my other host, Lady Faye. She's somewhere there in the background. And on this afternoon's episode of the Front Line Blacc News, we were discussing the topics we didn't get to last night, which are the Gullah Geechee land is under siege in South Carolina update, and Georgia apparently. Define woke, what it is and what it's not. You know, we got the panties in Florida. We got that with the Miami Dolphins.
They need to put it. Yeah, they need to put the panties asses in jail.
And yeah, that was just beyond embarrassing. So he has this war on woke, so we're gonna break that down. And then we got our brother OZONE, Othal Wallace, verdict in Daytona Beach, Florida. And then we got our Unhoused Neighbor News and our Unhoused Neighbor Suites. And then we are as well with our West Coast correspondent, Shabaka Sankoria, Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced, which I'm the co-executive producer of and co-host of. And we are simulcasting on the Arena Uncensored, which is our good friend Black Sun's YouTube channel, his Facebook page, his YouTube channel, MD, who's a big Trumpster, his YouTube channel, MD 2020, and Blacks in Politics, Brother Ron, otherwise known as the Conscious Moron. So,
all right.
Greetings from the Mile High Income City. How is the Sin City treating you?
Oh, well, Sin City is Sin City. It is what it is. People driving crazy. Half of them are drunk. You know what I'm saying? No type of couth out on the highway. People cut off in front of you. We are, starting to get the break in the temperatures because looking at here on my laptop, it's 82 degrees today and it's sunny. And then, of course, as we do know, summer is over. We're in about the third day of fall. And as we all know, that on the solar plane, we've had the autumnal equinox, which is the first day of fall. And then we'll be going to the winter solstice in about 3 months. And then, of course, as you do know, that the winter solstice is actually the summer solstice for Azania. For those down there in Azania, their winters happen in the summers here, and the summers there coincide with the winters here. So definitely, shout out there to those in Azanias because they're getting ready to have their summer months coming up and what have you. Okay, this business about the National Football League having these transgender men to pose as cheerleaders is an insult to all the NFL fans.
They already started this, Shabaka. They started it with the Carolina Panthers a couple years ago.
See, now that's an insult to the Black Panther Party. Okay, did you have to start with that team? You know what I'm saying? Did you have to start with that team? If anything, they should have started that with the Dallas Cowgirls. Right. Or they should have started it up there with the 49ers over there in Boys Town. You know what I'm saying? And it's just these little subliminal suggestibility of consent about these confused ass dudes, man, going out here, man, and that there's a disrespect to womanhood as a whole, in my opinion.
I agree, Shabaka.
It really is. It's because these men are confused. A lot of them have been victims of abuse themselves, neglect, combination of all of the above and then some. Okay, but to sit up there, and say that these individuals are women, that doesn't compute. You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't. That's it. That doesn't. And that there's a huge, huge, huge insult uh, to them. And I'm talking about, the bona fide women. They say,
Yeah.
you got these confused individuals, you know what I'm saying, coming out there, trying to push this junk. You see?
Yeah.
And like I said all along, they got their human rights, they have their civil rights, but no. Mm-mm. They ain't got no right coming up, to heterosexual men
Yeah,
saying
well,
that
like you
they're
said
women.
yesterday, Shabaka,
Mm-hmm.
trans women are not fucking women.
Mm-mm.
Trans men are not fucking men.
Mm-mm.
Get that through your sick, demented fucking skulls.
Oh yeah, and then before they go up there and make comments that we're homophobic, let it be known that these individuals are heterophobic.
I had
They
to
say,
Oh my God, she doubled the wager.
I doubled the wager because I doubled it. I couldn't help it. I doubled it, and I could recap that overlay, but we should move on with the show. But I suggest you watch the last little bit of last night's show because I put out a $200 wager, which my recollection was 100. We had 100, and they could it was 100 up, but if they lost, they had to pay us $1,000, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and I
right.
put it up.
So that's $2,000.
So that's $2,000 now. My
Okay.
question is simple, and we get our answer very quickly if old boy accepts the wager. And my thing was, shit, make me a believer. Shit, show me a trans woman that's a woman.
Yeah.
Show me. Go find
Mm-hmm.
your weapon. Present it. You got between 15 to 35 days to show me that is a woman. Because anybody who's
Mm-hmm.
been a woman or around a woman, came from a woman, has women in their family, would know anywhere between 15 35 motherfucking days. Some woman shit's gonna happen that only happens to women.
Right.
It's a whole thing. So anytime, make me a believer. Show me. I went in. I mean, like, I really fucking went in. It was like, look, I don't give a fuck what you do. Your little shit that they made. First of all, you gotta have something in it to keep it open. We ain't gotta do all that. It ain't got no snatch back. It don't got no grip. It don't got no grab. I don't give a fuck what you say. Right? You're not gonna have no birth canal. I don't care what kind of fucking morbid shit they put in you. Just but show
Mm-hmm.
me, you're a believer. Because men have certain gay men got the audacity to tell us what women are, actual women. So yeah, show me. Shit, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed the memo. And we got, some alien shit from, garbage
Mm-hmm.
pail Kid shit, that I missed. And, in my 43 years of actually being a female, able to, produce a life or two or three and have a few, meet the, the ancestors a little early.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I missed something in 43 years. I missed the memo or some shit. Or when
Right.
my eyes don't work. So when a baby does come out, I can't look at it and see that there's a whole defining factor of what separates from
Mm-hmm.
another. It's usually a male, right? That has a whole little, twig and berry situation. You got to actually, put something over. You might get sprayed in the eye, covering that
Mm-hmm.
guy up. He just shooting his rocket off, peeing in your face. That's the defining factor. That's a boy. You know what I mean? Versus a
Mm-hmm.
little
Right.
boy,
Mm-hmm.
girl, boy, girl. It's real clear. I mean, it
Right.
doesn't take a rocket science. How everybody thinks I'm stupid and all. Like, I don't know how to read or nothing. But I'm just saying, I can clearly tell the difference. That there's only two. Boy,
Mm-hmm.
they come in the world that
Yeah.
way. So make me a believer.
Yeah.
I'll go buy my $200 real quick. They're gonna owe us $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
The front line
Yeah.
is really that $2,000.
Right.
Now I would suggest you keep talking all that shit. Put your money where your motherfucking mouth is. I'm telling you, bring it. It's not gonna be a problem for us to find $200 at all.
Mm-hmm.
at all. That's how
Mhm.
serious I'm about it. 'Cause I'm
Yeah,
so
and yeah, and it's just downright ludicrous. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then, which is even more
Hold on,
insulting.
Pocket. I gotta get us started. We're
Yeah.
never gonna get to the show.
yeah.
So
Okay.
the first topic is the Gullah Geechee. As we covered on a previous episode, we were talking about the sister Josephine Baker, the great grandmother in South Carolina, who is having all-out war with developers who are trying to take her land,
Hmm.
which is Gullah Geechee land. And
Hmm.
on the last video, before they cut us off, I was given the history of the Gullah Geechee people. So I'm gonna play this
All right.
video.
Shout out to our brother Marcel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now I know very little of this. Okay, so I'm learning something.
Okay. So the first video is about the folks, meaning crackers, white people, caucasoids, developers, trying to take over Gullah Geechee land and forcing the residents and the owners off the land to leave the land
Rightful owners.
Civil War land, right?
Hmm.
And then the second video is the history of the Gullah Geechee.
Okay.
I gotta get the copyright up.
In a 3-2 vote, county commissioners in McIntosh County in Georgia decided to loosen laws that help protect Gullah Geechee land. Now, this particular Gullah Geechee land is on Sapelo Island, also known as Hog Hammock. There's about 30 to 50 Black residents there. Now, the island is really tiny. It is about 65 miles outside of Savannah, Georgia. You need to take a boat to get over there. Well, recently, the county commissioner said, well, we're going to allow people to build bigger houses. Before, they can only build about a 1,400 square foot home. And now they're saying, well, we'll allow you to build a 3,000 square foot home. And their reasoning is, well, people need more space for a family, right? They need to all be under one roof. And so the residents of that particular Gullah Geechee land, of course, are Black. And they're like, wait a minute. You all are encroaching upon our land. It belongs to us. Now, Gullah Geechee lands, if you will, have been around since the end of the Civil War. And those particular communities, they are isolated usually, and they adhere to African traditions that are not so much on, other lands within the United States, if you will. And so they're also saying that white people, let's keep it a buck, they want to go over there and get another vacation home or build there because, again, it's very isolated and I'm sure it's tropical as well. And they don't care about the history of the land there. Now, some of the county commissioner, one who is Black, who voted against loosening the laws, he says, well, part of the problem, too, is that some of the Black families, they sell the land. And when you sell the land, of course, the white people who want to come on over there, they're going to buy it and they don't care about the history. So he says, stop selling the land for one. But some of the Black residents there are saying, well, what happens is, and we know what happens with gentrification, when the people that got money and they build these bigger homes and stuff, that affects property taxes and cost of living and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it makes it harder for them to stay. So a lot of times they have to sell their land to survive. Well, that there is another reason why we as Black people here in the United States need our reparations check so that we can pay whatever amount of money we need to keep our land, because these devil politicians, they don't care. Now they're saying there, in McIntosh County, it's not about money and we don't want to see the land go away. It is about money. It's about appeasing white people, because it says that McIntosh County is about 11,000 residents and 65% of them are now white. So it's gentrification at its finest going on, but those particular lands should be preserved at all costs. But back to what I was saying about our reparations, run us our money. Right. That way we can, take care of our own stuff. And along with the money, we want some land too. We want y'all to keep your hands and your feet and everything else away from our communities,
Right.
if that's all right with y'all. So y'all tell me what you think of that. And for more insightful commentary, please subscribe to this channel and my channel, The Demetra K Show, here on YouTube. Peace.
Okay, well, sister, first place she needs to subscribe to Front Line Blacc News, and she also needs to subscribe to the platform Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced. Now, on this right here, I agree with what she is saying, is because, as we all know, land is a factor of production. You have 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and risk management, which is entrepreneurs. Fancy way.
What up, Cuzzo? Youngest
Okay. Okay, greetings there to you, brother Younger. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is acquire all the land, man, and then put our own damn military on it, period. You know what I'm saying? Period. Because, see, this is all what this stuff is going to, okay? It's because we have a right for our self-determination, we have a right to exist, and we have a right to survive, okay? Everything else did not work, okay? And we have to be real about it. Sad news, it didn't work, you see? So what are we going to do? Keep banging our head against the wall, man, expecting a different result? That's insanity. Right. Okay? And then also to Pianki, go fuck yourself. Joe Gibson, you kiss my ass as well too. Sarge, is always a pleasure having you. Yeah, Shabaka Sankori said that on his own accord. And Pianki, I'm putting it out there, you're a brain dead, ass scratching house Negro. And a very, very sad part of research that I did, sir, on researching Kemet from Committee in History, is that Shabaka and Pianki were brothers. And that's sad news. Very, very sad news. Okay. Now, by all means, preserve the land right there. I am going to have to do further research and study, you know, on those islands off the coast of the Carolinas, off of Georgia, I believe, and I believe off of North Carolina as well, too, you know, that they have these islands at. And from what I understand is that a lot of these islands were runaway slaves that went there, and they had established you know, homes there. They had established a way of life there, holding on to traditional values from the continent. But like I said, I have to do more research on that. Hola means that you are a descendant of West Africans. Hola, huh?
So this next video is giving the whole history. But before we get to that, Lady Shay, what are your thoughts on this?
On the coast. I'm really with Demetra K. Like, run that bag, fuck off the land, let the Gullah Geechee buy their shit, keep their shit. It's always all about the money. It ain't never about the fucking well-being. You just feel like you can take it because you got the bread, and then show it in their face. So yeah, let run that bag so they can get their land, keep their land, and don't fuck off because, you know, you think that whatever the fuck you're hearing about this money, always go get a 3rd, 4th, and 5th opinion from other motherfuckers that are outside of the area that'll tell you the actual truth of the value of whatever you're looking at. So you don't get fucking bamboozled like what happened with Bruce's Beach and shit.
Yeah.
That was a total fumble right there. And so every time now, motherfuckers are gonna look at us like we're gonna make the same mistakes as Bruce's Beach people did. There was Oswald ignorant shit. You know what I mean? Really, if they would have just went outside of their area, probably somebody to really check their money out on what they make on average and all that other shit, they would have found out they took that bag a little early. They asked for a little less, and they gave it right back.
So, well, they have to give it right back. They couldn't do nothing with the land. That's my issue with the land. They want land, but if you can't cultivate it, you can't make a profit off of it. What good is having land?
Just beach. Like, this is a beach. Like, they've been making profit off of it that whole fucking time.
They gave it back because they couldn't do nothing with it. Because the charter and whatever principality, the building charter wouldn't allow it.
That's what they say. But I'm telling you, because if you just dug a little deeper outside of it and brought in some other people, they would have been able to look at it differently. You're listening to what the city wants, what the city people are telling you, and the city people's recommendations. And so it's like a programming. Yeah, well, they said, so I think since we can't, they told us we can't, so we can't. You know what I mean? And that was simply not true. I showed it on the RBA. They lost millions of money. Millions. That's the biggest move ever. I showed it on the RBA. The stupidest move ever they did. The family did. Because they don't live there. They couldn't move there. They didn't want to. They just wanted to take the little bag, go on about their way.
They wanted to build a house on the property.
They
couldn't.
If you own the land,
no. Just because you own, that's the thing about owning land.
Just trust me, man.
Just because you own the land, don't mean that you. Just because you own the land, don't mean that you own the rights to the land.
Jesse,
and that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, you want land, but what point of good is it having land? If you
can argue it all you want, but the facts are, when I showed it on the RBA, they fucked up. They could have did a whole bunch of shit. There was options. Real options you could have had. I showed it on the RV, run that back. They really did. They fucked up. But you don't want to think outside the box. You just want to think what it told you.
So what were they supposed to do with the land?
Doesn't matter now. You're right, I'm wrong. But either way, they fucked up. I wouldn't make that mistake ever. I wouldn't make that mistake. I wouldn't trust anything they did. This shit in the first place wants to show face and give it back, only to fuck you into selling it to me. I wouldn't trust the motherfucking thing they said. Off top, and I'd ask all kind of different questions. Matter of fact, I go way outside the box, pick a whole nother motherfucker, do some reviews, look up some shit, bring that in, and then have it. Well, look, looks like you getting fucked over here, and over here. I wouldn't take this offer. That's what I would do. But that's what I would do with the city too. That we live in, cuz. You know what I mean? Look at all the shit that they're doing. It's the same thing. And just because they say you can't doesn't mean that you can't. It's they don't want to. So they'll tell you they don't want you to by saying you can't do it.
Okay, good.
You know what I'm saying? Think I could talk to you. Fuck it.
I'm a realist, cuz, like, imagination has nothing to do with reality, cuz, like, it's literally fantasy, cuz, like, if I wanted to think about imagination, I would be on some Wakanda Forever shit.
No, you're right.
That shit don't exist, cuz.
Look at it's that thinking right there that's kept the president upright.
That shit don't exist, cuz.
It's that kind of thinking right there that's kept the president.
It doesn't exist, though.
Oh, you're right. No,
it's literally Hollywood fiction.
Because it's that kind of thinking that keeps everybody outside the box.
Okay, so what were they supposed to do with the land?
Doesn't matter, man. Move on. In my opinion, outside thinking.
Yeah, that's Lady Chase's opinion. It's right, but that's her opinion.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's an opinion, baby.
So before we got off on a tangent about Brewster's Beach, I was gonna play this video about the history of the Gullah Geechee people. So I'm gonna play that right now.
I like their history.
Who are a descendant of West Africans who were enslaved here in the Sea Islands, going all the way up from North Carolina all the way down to Florida, but primarily in our South Carolina Sea Islands. They were brought from the coast of West Africa to the Low Country and enslaved in order to do the labor of the plantations that helped to build America. The blending of all of those cultures that came together during the transatlantic slave trade that gave birth to this culture called Gullah.
Gullah is the most authentic African culture in America. We think Gullah came from the word Gola. The Gullah tribe were rice-growing people in West Africa, and they were brought over to develop rice fields.
One of the major reasons why we were selected in the west coast of Africa, especially those rice-producing countries like Sierra Leone, Senegal.
Hello everyone, welcome. Today we are going to talk about a fascinating cultural group that you may not have heard of, the Gullah Geechee people. They are a unique African-American community that
I'm still here.
And language. Let's dive in.
Video.
The Gullah Geechee people are descendants of Africans who were enslaved on the rice and Sea Island cotton plantations of the lower Atlantic coast. The Gallas are primarily differentiated from other descendants of enslaved Africans by their preservation of traditional West African practices and by their unique Creole language, facilitated by their relative isolation. A further distinction is commonly made within this ethnic group in the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor between the Gullah, who are found in the South Carolina Low Country, and the Geechee, who reside in coastal Georgia and northeastern coastal Florida. The Gullah people are descended from enslaved West Africans who were abducted from what is now Senegal, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Cote d'Ivoire, and Angola. Many of those enslaved Africans were transported to the West Indies to be seasoned before being taken onward.
I got a question.
South Carolina, where they were subsequently sold to plantation owners. The owners exploited our agricultural knowledge of these enslaved individuals by forcing most of them to work in rice fields along the coast. Other enslaved individuals found cotton, which, like rice, was native to their homelands, and indigo, which was found in parts of Africa. Enslaved farmers built complex system of irrigation and dams, transforming as much as 236,000 acres of untouched land into about 120,000 acres of tidal rice fields and roughly 116,000 acres of inland rice fields. This development will eventually turn the region into one of the most productive and profitable in the antebellum South. The enslaved population in the region continued to grow even after the United States outlawed the importation of enslaved Africans in 1808. The ancestors of the Gullah Geechee people brought to this country a rich heritage of African cultural traditions in art, foodways, and music. Today's Gullah Geechee arts and crafts are the result of products designed by their ancestors out of necessity for daily living, such as making cast net for fishing, basket weaving for agriculture, and textile arts for clothing and warmth. Deeply rooted in music traditions brought to the Americas by enslaved Africans, their music evolved out of the conditions of slavery that characterized their lives. The influence and evolution of musical forms that arose out of Gullah music can be heard in many musical genres, such as spirituals and gospel music, ragtime, rhythm and blues, soul, hip-hop, and jazz. Religion and spirituality have a sustaining role in Gullah family and community life. Enslaved Africans were exposed to Christian religious practices in a number of ways and incorporated elements that were meaningful to them into their African-rooted system of beliefs. These values included belief in a God, community above individuality, respect for elders, kinship bonds, and ancestors' respect for nature, and honoring the continuity of life and the afterlife. Country plantations frequently had a praise house or small structure for religious services. Ghana language, typically referred to as Geechee in Georgia, technically known as an English-based Creole language, created when peoples from diverse backgrounds find themselves drawn together and communicate. Through research, it has also been found that there is in particular a strong connection between the Ghana language and the Creole language spoken in the Sierra Leone. This is the native language of
Yeah. 50 points they got smashed by. All right.
Steelers don't do that to y'all tonight.
Yeah, you guys lost by 50 points there in Denver, sir.
I told you that, Shabaka. That's old news.
Oh, that's great news.
You know what? You know what would be great news, Shabaka?
What's
if
that?
the Raiders got a transgender cheerleader.
Sir, that there would be an insult, man, to Black history as a whole.
Just like that.
I'm just glad it wasn't a record.
Of course, because I didn't American English now. First language. Traditional Gullah Geechee diet consisted of items available locally, such as vegetable, fruit, game, seafood, livestock, items imported from Europe, items imported from Africa during the slave trade, okra, rice, yams, peas, hot peppers, peanuts, sesame, bene, seed, sucum, and watermelon, and food introduced by Native Americans, such as corn, squash, tomatoes, and berries. Rice became a staple crop for both Gullah Geechee people and whites in the southeastern coastal region. Making use of available food, making a little go a long way, supplementing with fish and game. Leftovers from butchering and communal stews shared with neighbors were African cultural practices. African cooking method and seasonings were also applied in Gullah Geechee homes and plantation kitchens. Because plantation cooks were primarily enslaved women, much of the food today referred to as Southern comes from the creativity and labor of enslaved cooks. Despite facing discrimination and marginalization, the Gullah Geechee people have maintained their culture and heritage. In recent years, there have been efforts to preserve and celebrate their culture, including the establishment of the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor, a national heritage area designated by the U.S. Congress in 2006. This corridor stretches from Wilmington, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida, and includes historic sites, cultural centers, and museums that showcase Gullah Geechee culture. The Gullah Geechee people are a unique and fascinating cultural group that has had a significant impact on the history, culture, and heritage of the southeastern United States. Their music, language, and cuisine are all part of their rich cultural identity, and efforts to preserve and celebrate their heritage are ongoing. We hope you enjoyed learning about the Gullah Geechee people today. Do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Until next time, cheers and have a
what
good
you
one.
cats got to do is like and to subscribe to Front Line Blacc News and Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced.
All right, Shabaka. So
The reason why we have to stay woke.
Okay, well, I found that there to be very, very interesting. Also, too, I can see that a lot of the culture was preserved, but based on what I was seeing, I also could see contaminants have gotten off into the culture. Well, of course, you know that there's what the transatlantic slave trade was about, but it's very, very good that they did hold on to the core of the African culture there. You see, and the cold part about it is that this is the type of information, you know, that the transvestite of Florida does not want our youth to learn about. So that's what I'll be referred to him as the transvestite of Florida. You know, the panties, you know, he's a man that wears women's underwear. So I will be referring to him as the transvestite of Florida. And then, of course, you know, the dump as in human shit. And I want to make both of these statements perfectly clear to quote another crook. Okay. And but it's very, very interesting, and our young people need to have that knowledge of where they come from, you know, so this here would stop us, you know, for the paths of self-destruction that we're going on. They say with killing each other and stuff like that. So I learned a little bit of something there, going through Florida when I did, you know. Although I think where was that? I know I went through Pensacola, and I know I went through St. Petersburg. I know that, and then I guess the waterway that I saw down there was the Gulf of Mexico. You know what I mean? So a lot of our people, you know, got disembarked on there as well too. And then also too, you know, like some individuals out there who would like to deny their African heritage, talking about that we was already here. But it's quite obvious, particularly when you go through Oakland, parts of Los Angeles, of how the characteristics, physical and what have you, that you would see of our people to, you know, to those who are from the continent.
The phenotype is the same, but that's the difference, Shabaka. It's not based off a phenotype. It's based off a lineage. We've been here for 500 years. Like, we are our own ethnic group within the whole diaspora. And like I said numerous times, this whole Pan-African thing was started by foundational Black Americans, descendants from American chattel slavery. It's not being reciprocated. And they're not letting in the Garbies. They're not letting in the Kwame Toure's. They're not letting in Thomas Sankores. They're not letting them in through immigration. That's not who they're letting in. Who immigration is letting in? Tethers and coons from these foreign nations.
Pretty much. Yeah. So once again, this is how deep, Brother Che, to support your premise even further, so of how deep this thing really is. Because if they go on in to that deep, you know, to create the division on the continent and here in the diaspora, is definitely some European fingerprints on these Negroes' minds. And just like you said, the new movie that's out called Coon, starring the majority of these niggas, those individuals I've just mentioned, you know, will be like in your starring roles, you know. But, you know, we are slowly coming about getting this knowledge and what have you. But you got too many puppet masters out there, and you got too many of them willing, you know, to be on strings. But attention that came to me that Snoop Dogg had crumb bomb on Donald Duck Trump and some of his supporters. Okay. And I believe Brother Paris out there was off in a news break. You know, a relative sent me a link to it and what have you.
That would be great. But we need to hear from Lady, and we got to move on to the next topic. Lady Tay, what are your thoughts on people?
I think it's tight. Tightness and whatever's left, whatever they can keep, and whatever they manage to preserve language-wise, and with their customs. I think that shit shouldn't be fucked with at all. And you know, sadly, European shit need to stay away from it. You know what I mean? Let them be. Let them be. Give them their money and let them be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
Give them their money and stop fucking with their land.
Right.
Leave their fucking land alone.
And if they want to represent, they want to live their lives that way, and not only that, but they are who they are. Just leave them alone. Just give them their shit and leave them the fuck alone. They've been doing. They can do fine without you. Case in point, they've always done fine without them. They don't need them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they made nothing out of nothing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, I think the Gullah Geechee was the race and shit out here. Right?
Yeah, they were.
And they were able to survive the malaria, the fucking mosquito shit.
Yeah.
Because they had the way they got to do it. Yeah,
they were part of the founding of America. Like they're FBA, like straight up. Like they're the true definition of FBA.
Yeah, but their way is what caused them to survive here too. They know how to take care of the malaria, the mosquitoes, and all that shit out there, right?
Well, they needed us to cultivate the land. Land is useless if you can't cultivate it.
But also too, there's something about the sickle cell that Lady Che had just mentioned. Okay, now I'm going back in the memory of my mind to the early 70s. Okay. All right.
It's time for the history lesson because we got to get to the next topic. We got to crumb on the panties.
I always got time for that.
I'm trying to leave room for you to speak, but I don't like want a whole diatribe. I just want
just get on with it because really, take it out the fact you lost the game on us.
We're on a time schedule, guys. I'm trying to get this done before TBA and Tariq go on. All right, so the next topic. Sorry about that dysfunction, Black family. The next topic is woke. What the hell is woke? Mm-hmm. What it is and what it's not. Because a lot of people seem to be confused on what woke is and something that it's not. So we're going to give y'all a history lesson on that. And shout out to Black Logic for breaking this whole thing down. If you recall, Shabaka did a whole show on woke on both Shabaka's Black Hispanic Enhanced and Front Line Black News, where teacher or professor or whatever the fuck she was asked directly to define woke, and she could not do it.
Okay.
So we're going to do it now and make it very clear what woke is. And it's just it's synonymous with black. And it comes directly out the black conscious community. And having been part of the black conscious community for over a decade, I would definitely know what the hell woke is and what it's not. And we're going to give y'all an update and refresh course on what woke is and what it's not. And then we're going to crumble on the parties with his bullshit war on woke. And this is where woke, Florida is where woke goes to die. And all that other bullshit rhetoric that he's spitting down there in Florida. So I'm going to let the video.
Okay.
Welcome to Black Logic. So today we're going to tackle the war on woke, the definition of woke, because a lot of different sources have implemented the social justice term and verbiage inside of it, which is kind of deflecting from the true meaning of woke. So let's go through this very quickly. This won't be long. Woke, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, aware of and actively attentive to important societal factors and issues, especially issues of racial and social justice. Family, right off the bat, this definition is absolutely, unequivocally wrong as soon as they use the word and social justice. The term woke was never to be used in a social manner, dealing with people's right to identify as anything in any sex, or things that occur in capitalism or socialism, none of those things.
Right.
It was essentially being aware and attentive and actively attentive to the racial issues in America when it deals with Black people, because not only was it created by us, and we coined this. So when you hear, whether it be Republicans or Democrats, use the term woke, they're saying to Black people, we are anti-woke, we want to stop woke, and that's why people like Ron DeSantis created the Stop Woke Act, the Stop Black People Act. Because here's the thing, if your people had created a certain thing, and then the white racist GOP uses that term to target Black folk, as well as the Democrats. See, the Democrats have slutted out the word. They had stretched the word. They have been using this word, and the GOP is just attacking it. But again, this is all anti-Black. Let me move on. Woke, according to the Urban Dictionary, and it states here, this term became popularized initially. The meaning of this term was when an individual became more aware of the social injustice, which is, when we talk about social injustice, you can group in a lot of other things. When a person became aware of the anti-Blackness in America, that is what woke simply is, right? Then it says, or basically any current affairs related like bias, discrimination, or double standards. No, that is the definition. When someone came inertly aware and actively attentive of bias, discriminatory acts, and racism in the system of white supremacy and anti-Blackness in the United States of America. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with social injustice, because that encompasses and that groups everybody. This is a term that was created and coined by Black folk. Let's go a little deeper. According to USA Today, what is the meaning of woke once a term used by Black Americans is now a rallying cry for GOP? So anytime I see that and they don't include the Democrats, I automatically know what this person is right here, and we can see the name, I'll move on. It states during the 2022 Conservative Political Action Conference, the opposition attacked woke ideology. Nobody knows what it is, right? In their speeches to conservative activists, Republicans presidential candidate Nikki Haley decried wokeness as a virus. You know, we have all these terms. Wokeness, the woke virus, wokeism, all these terms that the Democrats and GOP, mostly the GOP on this one, had created, and also critical race theory. All of these terms, all of these amalgamations.
Okay, Brother Che, could I make a comment right fast?
That back in the 1930s.
Go for it. I guess I'm running the show right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyway, I'm looking at this article right here out of USA during the 2023 Conservative Political Action Conference. Speaker after speaker attacked woke ideology in their speeches to conservative activists. Nikki Haley decried wokeness as a virus more dangerous than any pandemic, hands down. Ramaswamy ramen noodles. I travel the country calling out the woke industrial complex in America. Hey, Vivek Rami Salami, check this out, punk. Why don't you call into Shabaka's Black Experience Enhance at 516-418-5996? And I would love to humiliate your ass on air because you do not know what the hell that you are talking about, punk. Okay? And then also, too, Salami, is that you are a supporter of the dump as in human shit. And I want to make that perfectly clear. And then Ron, the panties, and I'm calling you a transvestite, saying that you wear women's underwear, and any of you no good dirty bastards are welcome to call in to Shabaka's Black Experience and Enhance. And the number, if it's 516-418-5996. Call in if you dare. And if you don't, that there just confirmed everything that I said about each and every one of your sorry, stinking asses. Sorry, Lady Che, I had to get that one in there, man. Please continue.
Fuck Nikki Haley, dude. Look at Nikki Haley. Does she look even widely awake half the time? Let alone conscious of anything other than her fucking blatant fucking privileged ass fucking pink skin? I think not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fucking fucking ramen noodle fucking whatever the fuck his name is. That motherfucker.
Yeah, Rami Salami.
A straight motherfucking ramen motherfucking anchor baby. And he really ain't got no place to tell anybody anything. Especially when it comes to reparations. How the fuck is an anchor baby gonna tell us anything?
Well, you're right, Lady Che. You okay, well, ma'am, you said it perfectly in your analogy when it comes to these men calling themselves women. So when was their last menstrual cycle? You see what I'm saying? And what have you. See, so this is the type of idiocy that is becoming normal today, because see, all these abnormal brain dead individuals is coming up here trying to perpetuate this bullshit as normal, and it's not.
Yeah,
and see,
real quick,
once again, they want to
an understanding real fast that this is the 2023 and the last couple of years or whatever, that this weird shit has been allowed to happen. We've been living in their land of fucking makeshift imagination, and and not only have you been living in it, you've been paying into it and allowing it to happen. So now that everybody's starting to get a little fed up. They really only have themselves to blame for this shit, because This is. I mean, like, how are you gonna allow fiction to create legislation? It's not factual.
Right.
This is fictional creatures. You know what I mean? Like make believe fucking atrocities. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, absolutely.
I'm not this. I'm that. I feel like this, but I vote like that. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm the last. I feel like 1980s, like the last of like I'm Generation X. We're like the last of the let's keep it very honest type of shit. Mm-hmm. And social media wasn't in our fucking, it wasn't out there. We went outside, So this is fucking crazy. All this shit here is just propagating fucking programming. Been paying into it, and it's for their entertainment, and nobody wants to get mad and want to do this and that. But I would be thoroughly upset if I was living in my reality. Like, I'm a realistic motherfucker, and I'm telling you, I'm mad. I don't understand why nobody's not mad, and we're just so passive. It's okay. Let them do whatever, man. If y'all sisters ain't upset with these motherfuckers wearing lace fronts and got beards and shit, trying to tell you that you ain't pretty, or that you're not a woman, or that you're just a breeder, and I don't know what else. Right? You really have enabled this bullshit to happen. So it's, you can't get mad. You can't get mad and try to stand up for them, because secretly they've been plotting on your fucking assets for a minute, and they're disrespecting their own goddamn mama. Because at the end of the day, we all come out of a woman.
Right. Yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying? And then what it is just
yesterday. Ask Jesse, doesn't the man, when the man, push the seat on, doesn't the man predict or dictate the gender or the sex?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. For what I understand about basic biology, yes, ma'am. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
correct. You know
I mean,
what
you
I'm saying?
disrespecting your own damn father. If your father wanted you to, he willed it in the world for you to come out as a boy. He meant you to be a boy. If he wanted you to be a girl, he would have
Right.
willed that. You know what I mean?
Right.
He didn't do that. So not
Exactly.
only you disrespecting genetics, the will of the father who pushed you in the world, right? And you disrespecting the mother, the vessel who warmed you up in the
Mhm.
oven, cooked you for 9 months, and brought you in here. You disrespecting the
Right.
universe providing you the divine rule. So you just a
Yeah.
fucking idiot, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Fuck what you.
you're right. You'll get no argument from me on that. You know what I'm saying? And then the cold part about it is that they're trying to normalize this insanity. You see what I'm saying? I mean, they really are. They're trying to normalize this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And then the cold part about it
Hold on,
is,
Chewbacca. Jesse said we gotta
yeah,
move to the video again because we're on a time schedule before podcast diet starts at 6. So we're trying to
okay,
keep
all
going.
right, okay, okay. So what's our next
We're almost done.
topic?
We're almost done with this video. Well, I hope. Shit. You want to play the whole video? All right, yeah, okay, fuck it. We gotta play the whole video.
Our
All
answer
right.
is to have our people to be woke of the situations in which we are. We must go back of the racial bias and discriminatory and double standards of anti-blackness here in America. That is the term woke. That has nothing to do with LGBT, has nothing to do with capitalism. It simply has to do with anti-blackness here in America. I'll move on though. It states that Republicans have declared war on woke capitalism. They're now using this word in every iteration in the very fabric of America, which makes no sense because the term woke doesn't mean any of these things. And even introduced legislation like the Stop Woke Act in Florida, an acronym for Stop the Wrongs to Our Kids and Employees. So now they're saying that the term woke that gave Black people a sense of empowerment of knowing the situations in which we live, of the bias, discriminatory, and racist acts of this country, has now been slutted out to everything else. Now we're talking and grouping in, Stop Woke Act because things occurring to our kids because of woke. Because of Black people waking up, because of Black people understanding this discriminatory system, whether it be Democrat or Republican. That's what you're talking about? You're talking about the racial bias in this country? Is that what you're talking about? Because all these other things they're grouping in, family, has nothing to do with the organic definition of woke, okay? I'll skip down here a little bit. The uptick on exonerating woke ideology has increased in recent years among politicians, including former President Donald Trump, as Americans across the nation battle over diversity, inclusion, and equity efforts in the workforce. Okay? Moving right along, let's go down here a little bit. Woke capitalism. While Republicans aren't winning over investors in war against ESG and woke big business, family, are you seeing a repeatance here? Are you seeing this being very repetitive, how they keep using the term woke? And they're making the term woke evil, but the white supremacists know they're talking about Black folk, right? Because there's no secret where the term woke came from. There's no secret who created the term woke, who actually gave it this different definition of being attentive, being actively attentive and aware of the environment and the social construct of the anti-Black narrative that these politicians on the left and the right, the donkey and the elephant, the red and the blue, have used in order to demonize Black folk. It says here, but Black Americans have used the term woke since at least the early to mid 20th century to mean being alert to racial issues. Again, even the author used social injustice. Again, when you say social injustice, I know they're talking about the environment, but I want to keep it very concentrated. I want to keep it very direct. It's about race.
Right.
It's about you being black. It's about being discriminatory. It's about being biased. It's about having implicit bias and giving excuses to those who use it. This is about the system of white supremacy and how it operates and can be right on both sides of the fence and change the definition and terms and everybody socially accepted. Because I hear black folk even use the term woke 1000% incorrectly. Now, when we talk about the etymology of words, the root word itself in the first original definition of woke, right? Awaken, okay, being eyes open essentially. That's what we're referring to. It states here a version of the term was first used by Pan-African Marcus Garvey as early as 1923. It was later popularized by blues artists such as Lead Belly, who used it when singing about.
No, that's Lead Belly, Mr. Speaker, not Lead Belly, Lead Belly.
Raping, falsely accusing of raping two white women. Where's Dr. Umar Johnson when you need him? On a train in Northeast Alabama in 1931. As the BLM movement began after police killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson in 2014, woke expanded outside of black communities into the larger public lexicon. That means inside of the larger public social language, vernacular, vocabulary, okay? When they're talking about lexicon. What about stay woke? Black artists and entertainers continue to insert the phrase in their music, including Grammy award-winning artist Erykah Badu and Childish Gambino, right? Because Erykah Badu had the woke song, and Childish Gambino had that "Stay Woke." I don't know the words, but anyway, you know what song I'm talking about. But here's a little piece here I think you guys may find interesting. It says, "Yet woke has now been hijacked by the political right to mean something far from its original definition." And when they talk about the political right, they're referring to the Republicans, but I'm telling you, family, it's both the Republicans and the Democrats. Okay.
Facts.
The reason why we have to stay woke is because of exactly what these people are doing right now, which is finding very insidious ways to undercut our rights, said Terry Givens, a political science professional at McGill University. Givens called the attacks on the term a full-on dog whistle and pointed to attempts to limit the right to vote, curtail reproductive and abortion rights, and ban inclusive education in schools as examples of the backlash against Black and brown civil rights. Family, as I told you before, can we go back to who wrote this article? As you're now seeing, even in the someone trying to explain what woke is and what woke isn't. Aren't you guys noticing something here? Let me go back to the author. Here's the author, family. Mabaniti, I don't even know how to pronounce the name, but I'm going to go off on a limb. I didn't do my research. That's my disclaimer. I'm going to go off on a limb, and I'm going to tell you that I don't believe she's a foundational Black American. She's definitely not a foundational Black American. Let me go back now. Right? Again, the reason we have to stay woke is because of exactly what these people are doing right now. Okay? Just remember this sentence right here. The reason why we have to stay woke is because of exactly what these people are doing right now. It goes on to say that is a term, a full-on dog whistle, and pointing to attempts to limit the right to vote. Woke has nothing to do with voting directly. It has nothing to do with reproductive and abortion rights. Again, this term was created back in the 1920s, became more popularized in the 1930s, and then revisited the scene during the Ferguson riots, okay? So when we look at this, family, it had nothing to do with none of these things. It had everything to do with discrimination and racism, about being woke and the discriminatory acts of this country against Black people, against Black Americans. It had nothing to do with necessarily voting, okay? We was always voting, we were always fighting for the right to vote, but we didn't use that term in those regards. We didn't use those terms because of abortion, because people wouldn't really get abortions back in the 1920s and 1930s. So even the author
who wrote this, who was a non-foundational Black American, right? But again, they put a face on it, is now mixed and matching the term woke with the very same things they accuse the Republicans of doing, as well as the Democrats, right? It says that pointing to attempts to limit the right to vote, curtail reproductive and abortion rights, and ban inclusive education in schools as examples of the backlash against who? Black and brown civil rights. Family, listen to me. Listen to me, please. There's no black and brown civil rights, family. During this time and in these references, we're talking about black civil rights. We're not talking about black and brown civil rights. We're absolutely not. And that's when you know that this person who wrote this is a Democratic shield. They're doing the bidding
by the person who wrote that bullshit. Don't know what they're talking about. That's what that is.
To once again fool and trick Black people with the whole Black and Brown coalition of civil rights. No, family, no. Do you think there was a larger mass of Hispanic people here in the 1920s? Well, it wasn't. Do you think there was a larger mass of Hispanic people here in the 1930s? No, it wasn't. Not the 1940s, not the 1950s, not the 1960s. Then we started getting around to the 1970s, and then we started seeing an increase of Hispanic population. But not when this term was created and when this term was coined. So even with this, we have to stay focused, family. We have to understand how these political parties are doing and saying.
Okay, you cut off. What happened? What happened? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we had some problem in the studio right here. This is just part of being shadow banned, I would imagine. Okay, you can't stand the truth. Of course, you were seeing, the subject matter of what we was talking about. And then all of a sudden, the plug gets pulled. Okay, so that there goes to prove our points even further. They can't handle the truth. So they do everything they can, to shadow ban us. So that there just goes to prove, ladies and gentlemen, that they don't want nobody being woke. Now, how do we know that we are being shadow banned? Is because we always have these problems when we talk about sensitive issues, such as woke. And then, of course, when we talk about the dump, as in human shit. And I'm going to make that perfectly clear. Okay. And then, of course, Ron, the panties of Florida, they say this world has just gone insane, ladies and gentlemen. And keep in mind, I'm giving an impromptu conversation right now until our personnel comes back off into the studio, because I'm seeing here on my laptop, that we're still functioning. Okay, I'm Shabaka Hussein Corey, the co-executive producer of the Blog Talk radio show of Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced. definitely get with us on Tuesday night of what we're doing. I'll pull up information on the show. Okay, so you'll know what our subject matter would be. And I'm tired of all these search engines coming up here, is because actually, people, this is what's happening to your data of them putting up all this garbage up here on stuff people generally don't want. Okay. And it's overloading it. And then they got the audacity to want to charge us money for this. And it's sickening. Very, very sickening. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, our show for Tuesday night at 6 p.m. In the Pacific time zone, 9 p.m. in the Eastern time zone, 8 p.m. in the Central time zone, 7 p.m. in the Mountain time. Okay, the description is as follows: Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced. Okay, we will be discussing of how the American economy and industries produce consumer and durable goods that are designed to fall apart, such as motor vehicles, computers, houses, televisions, tools, building materials, capital equipment such as tractors and forklifts and things of that nature right there. Also, we'll be discussing about dumbass people who support this bullshit. We will also discuss the more reason for our people to create and develop our own industries to provide for ourselves throughout the diaspora, and how we must resurrect the mental dead amongst our own people. We must think of Black first. It is up to us to care and provide for ourselves and eliminate us being dependent on our oppressors for basic needs, goods, and services, what we could most definitely do for ourselves. Okay, so we don't know where Brother Che is, or don't know where Lady Che is. Okay, they're in a control the room here on a StreamYard podcast right here. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to pull up some more information, on this woke stuff. Okay, now here's an article right here that I'm pulling up here that states student told that white people have no culture, stirring controversy at where else? California school. Okay. The educational landscape in California has recently been embroiled in a contentious debate following allegations that a school told students that white people have no culture. The incident came to light when a concerned parent reported it to the San Ramon Valley Unified School District. San Ramon Valley. Well, San Ramon, California is a very upscale neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen, so keeping that in mind. Claiming that her daughter was taught about white privilege during a choir class and informed that white people lack a distinct culture, which is a fact. The school district acknowledges the incident. The school district acknowledges the incident and said that it remains committed to addressing any inequitable practices, ensuring the success of all students. To address any inequitable practices, the district has a specific role dedicated to equity and is working with the equity teacher on special assignment in its attempt to remove any obstacles that hinder the personal and academic achievements of its students. Okay, now you see, ladies and gentlemen, just on that right there proves the educational hypocrisy on the grand total of things. It will sit up there and address this issue, but at the same token, they don't want Black people learning about the brutalization of the transatlantic slave trade here in the Americas, in the Caribbean, in South America. It does not want Black people knowing about the Jim Crow era of the South, the Jim Crow era of California, and the Jim Crow era of across the whole United States. They want us to think that we are supposed to forgive and forget. Now ask yourself this question, people. If you keep kicking a dog, okay, each time you see him, you kick him. Eventually, what's going to happen is that dog is going to use his natural defenses to rip your leg off with his teeth, as well as he should, okay? The same thing with a feline or a cat, cougar, panther, what have you. You attack it, it's going to defend itself. You see what I mean? And as Dr. Newton had stated in his writings, the panther is a defensive fighter. And when cornered, it will annihilate its enemy absolutely, completely, and unconditionally. But when these people keep insulting our intelligence, telling us that slavery wasn't that bad and all this old type of stuff, the hypocrisy is real. And then when Black men in particular go before the criminal justice system, oh, give him maximum of life. The dude is only 22 years old. Give him 99 years in prison with no parole. You know, fix it so he'll die in prison. Okay? Just like on Goree Island. You know, when our people were forced marched, you know, from the various nations and areas of Africa, to Goree Island and entered the slave ships at the point of no return. And once they entered that and got on those ships, it was a wrap. And it's just incredible about the hypocrisy of the United States of America. Now, for you assholes out there like Joe Gibson, Bianchi, what have you, well, if you don't like it, leave as soon as you cut the fucking check for the reparations. Okay? And then I find it very, very interesting is that the Eurocentric powers that be, crumb bomb on Africa so much, right along with his first cousins, the United States, white Americans. But yet, though, you don't recognize that all the resources, natural minerals and what have you, that are being exploited off the continent, creating your gross domestic product to continue with these laptops, with Twitter, Stinky Bird, as I call them, and things of that nature right there. So what it is, ladies and gentlemen, we're 1 hour and 18 minutes into our podcast right here. And we don't know what happened to Lady Che and Brother Paris. Okay, so we're going to try to communicate with them and see what's going on.
Sorry, Shabaka. Lady Che didn't even let me know that we were kicked out the studio.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I try to.
Yeah, I didn't know that we got the studio. I didn't know that why we got kicked out the studio, because the signal was on, and this is just weird shit has been happening like all day. But I didn't know I was manning the show like that. I just thought I was sitting there
Okay, what it is while you guys were off, I was trying to keep up there. I was on a 30-second interval because I did communicate with you of what happened. And all what it is, people, is that this is part of the shadow banning practices that they do. And then, as the gentleman was talking about,
what is the last thing that you remember hearing in the video? Did you hear the whole video?
Yes, sir. Where the gentleman was talking about woke, and what it is that woke is the dog whistle. Okay. Saying, well, these colored folks are talking about the brutalization that we committed on them. Now, the sad part about America is, okay, instead of owning up to its atrocities against people of African descent, it probably needs to do that. You know what I'm saying? And it will stop individuals, who are drunk, influenced by I.W. Harper, Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, that dude called Beefeater, down there on the little waterway down there in Montgomery, Alabama, a couple of months back. But they sit up there denying the brutalization. And like I said, and we was talking about ass scratchers like Pianki, tethers like Joe Gibson and what have you. You see what I mean? And I told Pianki, to go fuck himself last night when I was on another show. So if he calls into our platform, and I really hope he doesn't, he could say what he could say. And as soon as he gets stupid, we're going to tell him, fuck you again, and kick his ass off the air. So I've tried everything that I could to reason with that man within reason. Okay. I made an error, as you brought to my attention, Brother Che. When he was on our podcast, I tried to apologize to him. Evidently, he doesn't want to accept the apology, and I'm not going to bend over backwards, to try to get along with an idiot. Okay?
Yeah, so getting back to the woke.
Yes, sir.
You heard the whole video? Okay. So now we're going to
go
sir. Professor Black Truth.
Oh, okay. What's up with the professor? And also, too, Brother Che mentioned the show and the material that's coming up on Shabaka's Black Experience Enhance on Tuesday. And it's called Planned Obsolescence. And when you get a chance, because I know we've all been put
earlier.
Okay. Earlier. All right. Okay. So what's up with the professor? He's always dropping knowledge.
Yeah. So the professor went on a hiatus for a couple of weeks, and he's back now. And he went straight to work on the panties.
Okay.
From Jim Crow biting. So this is his moment of truth. 449. If you haven't subscribed to Professor Black Truth, y'all definitely should. I've been subscribed to Professor Black Truth for over 10 years.
Okay.
Christopher Rufo, the right's favorite shill, has a new book out. Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth. Christopher Rufo, the right's favorite shill, has a new book out. Scenes for all of his war on woke, which has actually been nothing more than a thinly veiled war on black people. He's being forced to admit that the white right's losing their little war to take over the culture. Rufo is part of what the Republican strategist Mike Murphy called the GOP's incompetent operative class. Anyone with half a brain would never listen to him, which explains why Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign is crashing and burning in such spectacular fashion. You have the blind leading the stupid. What even qualifies Rufo to speak? Nothing. His education, such as it is, consists of a Bachelor of Science in Foreign Service from Georgetown University and a Master of Liberal Arts and Extension Studies from Harvard Extension School, whatever that is. But then again, with a name like Extension, maybe this guy got into the right field after all, because everything he says is a stretch. So we see he's qualified to push papers at an embassy somewhere and to extol the virtues of going to college. Basically, he has worthless degrees in nothing. He has no qualifications for this war on black people that he's trying to wage. No reason why anyone, even the white right, should take him seriously. That is, if they care about small things like being qualified. Another person is Heather McDonald. She's got 2 degrees, one in English and one in law. This woman spends most of her time using the most convoluted, inane pretzel talking points to manufacture phony statistics about Black people in the police. For someone with a degree in English, I would have thought the first thing that she would have learned is to be clear, but I guess she was playing hooky that day. They talked about it at Yale. Bethany Mandel's education is in history and Jewish studies, yet when she was asked to give a definition of woke, she famously got utterly tongue-tied. Though ironically, this led to her making the first accurate observation of her entire adult life when she said, "This is one of those moments that's going to go viral," and she was right. This woman wrote an entire book with a big portion of it devoted to attacking all things woke. And yet when someone merely asked her what woke means, she fell completely apart. Oh, she's utterly qualified to be talking to all of these right-wing think tanks now, isn't she? She literally doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. Yep. And these individuals are part of who the white right has as champions. This is what for conservatives passes as academics. These people who the white right tries to portray as being so educated, as being such experts on these issues, and that these universities and colleges are just too politically correct to tell the truth like a Bethany Mandel does. And then when you ask her to explain her own gibberish, she can't. And she's not alone. Most of these clowns retreat as soon as you begin asking them for specifics on all this crap they spout. Even a layman could take them completely apart just by asking basic questions. And to think, actually wonder why no reputable academic or governmental institution actually repeats their nonsense. It's because it's obvious these people don't have a clue what they're talking about. I guess reality has a liberal bias. Now, do you seriously think that Ibrahim Kendi X would get tongue-tied if someone were to ask him to define critical race theory? No. Do you think that Nicole Hannah-Jones, author of the 1619 Project, would get tongue-tied if someone were to ask her to define systemic racism or to define slavery or oppression or white supremacy? No. Dr. William Shockley famously got humiliated on national TV by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Yep. Now, the reason that happened was because he decided to run around pushing his crackpot racist theories about Black inferiority. Dr. Cress Welsing expertly dissected his putrid talking points and him, and she did it with ease. Yes, but here's the killing part. That Shockley character had absolutely no qualifications to speak on Black anything. He was not a biologist or an anthropologist or a sociologist. He certainly wasn't a major in African American studies. Shockley was an engineer. About the only thing he was known for was having helped to invent the transistor. He had absolutely no qualification to be talking at all. If I wanted to get my radio repaired, then I would listen to him. But anything else, he's out of his league. And yet, he not only ran his ignorant mouth, but he was given money and prominence by a number of wealthy white interests to do so. This guy was being pushed as if people should take him seriously. He invented the transistor, so that means he knows stuff about Black people. How do you draw that conclusion? Make it make sense. You notice a pattern forming yet? Now, this guy should have been too embarrassed to even call himself speaking on these things. In fact, he should have been too busy trying to invent a better toaster oven as opposed to giving his unsolicited and racist opinions about Black people. His peers should have told him to stay in his lane, that he's an engineer and not qualified to tell anyone anything about Black people. And yet, that didn't happen. No one in the white spheres of academics, industry, or media called him out as patently unqualified to speak. In fact, they treated him as if what he said was basically valid because. And we all know why that is. His real qualification to speak wasn't his PhD or his job field. His real qualification was that he was white. So that alone means he's more than qualified to speak on things he knows nothing about. And he won't have to worry about being called a quack or a hack or a loon or any of the adequate labels that would be put on someone who tried something like that. The white media happily dignified his asinine racist rantings as if he was some sort of expert, though they didn't know on what. Another person that comes to mind is Thomas Sowell. He's allegedly an economist, but nobody ever asks his opinion on the economy. And that's okay because he never wants to talk about the economy anyway. The only reason anyone
that is one of the biggest coons ever. I knew that about that bastard man 10 years ago.
And when he opens his mouth, you realize why so few Black people want to be like him. Sowell basically gives the same pull yourself up by your bootstrap speech that white society has been spouting since the end of the Civil War. Thomas Sowell has never done any research on the impact that slavery had on the economic standing of Black Americans.
Right.
He's never talked about how white mobs destroying Black townships hurt us economically. He's never tried to calculate how much of an economic advantage white GIs and their white families and descendants got from the mountain of government goodies and giveaways they received after both world wars. nor has Sowell ever put his alleged academics degree to use to calculate how much economic harm was done to Black people by being denied these benefits that we're owed. Thomas Sowell does none of that because the wealthy white interests he relies on for money aren't paying him to do that. They're paying him to be the Black face spouting white lies. What economic theories has Thomas Sowell pioneered? What new avenues of thought on economics has he contributed to? What has he done other than victim blaming and regurgitating anti-Black talking points? Again, what qualifies Thomas Sowell to speak on Black America? His degree isn't in sociology or anthropology or African American anything, not even in history. His degree is in economics, and considering that nobody ever asks his opinion about the economy, it seems he's barely qualified to even talk about that. The white right says that he's qualified to speak because he's Black, which tells you the only reason they give him money. He's one of the few Black people who's willing to drop to his knees for white power and open his mouth and let them put whatever they want into it. He clearly knows nothing about the economy. The very good white men he shills for don't respect him or his opinion on the economy because you have never seen Thomas Sowell on TV or in print when it comes time to talk about the great economic changes of the day. The 1989 stock market crash, the effect of 9/11 on the economy, the financial crash of the early aughts when Sunbeam, Enron, Tyco, Adelphia, and a raft of other corporations went down. Nobody on the white right or anywhere else was seeking out Thomas Sowell's sage advice. Same for the 2008 economic crash, the effect of the pandemic on the economy, or whatever you want to call today's economic malaise. Nobody asks so-called economist Thomas Sowell what he thinks. Nobody's ever asked his opinion because they know he's not qualified to speak. His degree is nothing more than window dressing, a decoration, a feeble attempt to credentialize this bootlick and pretend as if he's educated. After decades of Black academics railing against white power, like Dr. King, Dr. Chancellor Williams, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, and so many others, white power tried to invent its own Black mouthpiece who would spout white power's lies. This one would have a doctor in front of his name too. And they hoped that that meant that people would take him seriously. But even the white power who selected and presented this meat puppet to the world don't respect him. So obviously, nobody else will either. About the closest you can get to a white right wingnut who's marginally qualified to speak on the issues they complain about is Jordan Peterson. He's a psychologist. You can't tell by listening, though, because he uses his doctor title, even though he spends most of his time chattering right-wing talking points about race, politics, and basically anything he doesn't like, which is essentially anything that's not a straight white male conservative. He has a bachelor's in political science, but again, he plays off his PhD, which is not in political science. See, when you have propagandists like Rufo feebly trying to put on the airs of being an academic by using esoteric phrases and expressions that are normally only used by experts in a particular field, and when this person is making all kinds of blatantly false claims they themselves admit are lies, then shouldn't we be asking why anyone should listen to them? These people are the media and political equivalent of cosplayers. They're not actual academics because real academics are actually respected by their peers. Real academics' work is relied on by others in their field. Shockley was an expert on transistors, but he decided instead that he wanted to moonlight as an expert on Black people. While a lot of folks may have subscribed to his work as an engineer in applied sciences, who in their right mind has dared to repeat his gibberish about Black people? Shockley was taken seriously on the one and only thing he was actually qualified to talk about, and it wasn't Black people. Jordan Peterson, same thing. He's supposed to be a psychologist mainly with a lesser degree in political science. But who in psychology or political science relies on him? What breakthroughs or advances or new thought has Jordan Peterson brought to psychology? What has he done for the field other than to embarrass it? Who in any field relies on Chris Rufo's insane rantings about race? Educators, academics, and people who work in schools have all panned his nonsense. The only people, and I mean only people, who pretend to take him seriously are Republican politicians and right-wing pundits. See, these right-wing nuts are clearly deranged, and this is why they're shunned by real academics. They're propagandists misusing the credentials they got from otherwise reputable universities in order to make their own racist rhetoric seem as if it comes from a qualified source, when, if you look at them, you see qualified as about the last thing they are. Their peers shun them because they only use the universities they went to get a degree and then use that as a way to con the gullible or the willfully stupid into thinking they're smart, when in reality, they're on the level of an internet troll. Their only qualification seems to be that some wealthy white racists liked their anti-black rantings and paid money to publish a book for them and to put in the good word for them so they could get an appearance on Fox News. These are inventions of white power. Rufo failed to make a name for himself as a filmmaker, which is what he really wanted to do. It was the Manhattan Institute who made the thing. Right-wing literaticians are the perfect examples of why white privilege destroys the truth. Because under white supremacy, you don't have to know what you're talking about. You don't have to be profound, discerning, or even have a clue what you're yammering about. Because under white supremacy, there's no penalty for telling lies or for doing damage to your field. The same way that we see in the criminal justice system that those classified as white are far less likely to be arrested by the police or even questioned. Prosecutors are less likely to bring charges against them, and if they do, they'll drop them almost immediately. Judges are less likely to hand down a harsh sentence, and far more likely to give probation, no matter what the law says. For white offenders who have been convicted of serious crimes like rape, judges will in open court declare that they know the law requires the guilty to get prison time, but the judge doesn't want them to, so they're going to ignore the law and illegally hand down an acquittal that they themselves know to be false, simply because they don't want to ruin the offender's life. We hear all the time about so-called cancel culture, which is a myth. What we have is actually criticism culture. Nobody's been killed, nobody's home has been burned down, nobody's been crippled, maimed, or had their tongues cut out. Right. All the people who we're told have been canceled, are in fact still working, and even being celebrated cultural iconoclasts. When you have white privilege, the rules really don't apply, and there's no penalties other than criticism from people who don't have the ability to punish. When you have white privilege, your opinions, no matter how unfounded or demonstrably false they're proven to be, you're taken seriously anyway. You'll be put on white cable or network TV. White billionaires will pump millions of dollars into manufacturing a platform for you, and the people in the so-called left media won't say boo about it. None of them will make it a point to tell people about this gang of white racist rhetoricians who have sprouted up overnight and how they came to be there. But then again, the white left plays the exact same game. The only reason anyone knows who Barack Obama was because white Democrats thought that he was a useful tool to preserve white power. And they were right. Why don't we even know who Issa Rae is? It's because white media executives saw her and made her a thing. Same thing for Simone Mamie Sanders and all of these so-called political activist groups who put the word black into their names, like Black Pac. All of these groups who seem to pop up out of nowhere, like Black Lives Matter. All these groups with the word black in their name. Organizations who drop out of the sky and yet have millions of dollars in resources. And when you look at who actually funds them, you see that it's all white money paying for these operations, which is why the white media doesn't back them. Only friendly interviews for these sock puppet groups, no questioning where their money comes from either. The white right understands where their money comes from, and they also understand what their real job is, push their paymasters' political line. They lie like a rug because they know there will never be any consequences for it. Ban the history books because black people began reminding people of what was in those books, and then replace those history books with right-wing funded propaganda cartoons trying to see if they can get away with telling lies about Frederick Douglass and Dr. King. Tell the kids that it's never okay to question authority, and when it comes to social change, you should only use whatever methods and procedures that the people in power say it's okay for you to use. Never go any farther than established power says you're allowed to go. But don't mention that the founders of the U.S. began their experiment in white hegemony with a flash mob. Yes, you heard me right. You've probably heard about so-called flash mobs in Los Angeles who run into stores, steal a bunch of stuff, smash some counters, and then run like hell. Yeah. Well, what do you think the Boston Tea Party was? Right. You had a bunch of white guys who sent a mob dressed up as Native Americans, and these white guys raided some tea merchant ship, broke into the holds of the ship, vandalized the businessman's property, and then destroyed his property by dumping it into the sea and ran away. When you see these white racists talking about flash mobs today, be sure to remind them that today's flash mobs are tomorrow's national heroes. Because if young people have no right to go into someone's business and steal their wares and destroy their property, if these young people deserve to be imprisoned for that, then the founders of the United States are even more deserving of scorn and ridicule and hatred. How petty. How degenerate does your mentality have to be that someone raising the price of tea justifies you trespassing on their property and destroying what belongs to them? All over the price of tea. But criminality always gets whitewashed depending on the color of the people being talked about. That's why during Hurricane Katrina, black people were called looters when they were seen holding bags of items from a store. But white people who did it were described as merely having found bags full of goods. It all depends on what color you are and nothing else. The conditions that white people were under in the 18th century at the time of the American Revolution were negligible. They had nothing to complain about, and yet somehow complaining was the main thing that happened. They went to war because they had to pay for a cup of tea. Talk about a bunch of snowflakes. They had no right to trespass on anyone's ship or to vandalize it or to destroy another person's property, but we're taught that this made them heroes because something taxes. Well, black people's oppression is a hell of a lot worse than just paying more for a cup of tea. But these racists say that we can only protest how, when, and whatever they approve of. History is crucial because history is the institutional memory of a people. That's why destroying a people's way of life and destroying their historical records is considered cultural genocide by the UN. When you destroy a people's memory, that is only done so that the oppressors can try to imprint a new false identity onto them, an identity that makes this group of people servants. But there's also another aspect of all of this that doesn't get nearly as much attention as it should. While it's true that these white right-wing racists have big money paying to push their lies, it's also true that a significant portion of the population already knows that the Rufos and McDonald's and Souls and others are lying. We have to be honest about the fact that many of the people supporting anti-black racism are not being deceived at all. The entire reason white supremacy has so many defenders.
Shit. Damn it.
What happened? They cut the professor short.
No, I fucked up.
When he approached you, he was in his uniform.
I'm trying to get this queue, the remainder of the queue going, because I had some videos I hadn't added. I'm going to go back to the professor. I'm trying to get the order straight.
Man, but by 50 points that the...
Oh my God! Stop it, Shabaka.
Doesn't get nearly as much attention as it should.
Looks like
Big money paying to push their lies. It's also true that a significant portion of the population already knows that the Rufos and McDonald's and Souls and others are lying. We have to be honest about the fact that many of the people supporting anti-black racism are not being deceived at all. The entire reason white supremacy has so many defenders is because a sizable portion of the American population agrees with it, not because they don't know what it is, not because they don't know it's evil, but precisely because they know what it is, they know it's evil, and they're in favor of it. We have to accept that there's a lot of people in this country who are willingly continuing the system of evil and ultimately self-destruction because they depend on it. Their daily bread.
Yeah, we got Raiders versus Steelers.
And on the few occasions when they've seen parts of the society that allowed even a little competition,
5:20 p.m., 6:20 p.m. your time, and they're playing here in Sin City.
What happens when you have a system that is pampered and spoon-fed a portion of the population for half a millennium? That natural ability to compete atrophies. They don't know how to compete. So instead, they rely on a willingness to kill. So the white supremacists killing and competing are the exact same thing. So this is why we see them ultra hyper obsessed with making sure there's absolutely no impediments on the ability of white supremacists to get their hands on guns, even when those same white supremacists use those guns to kill other white people. Yes, these white right-wing nuts are lying, and a significant portion of the population knows it and supports it because, as they see it, the lies are being told to benefit them. So that makes it okay. They'll play right along. They'll ignore their own documents, the facts, basic reality, because when you've been dependent on white privilege for 500 years, you don't have a plan B. It's dangerous to allow liars and fraudulent rhetoricians to pretend to be legitimate scholars. This is why they don't actually argue the historical facts. Instead, they write laws saying mentioning anything that might hurt white people's feelings is outlawed. The entire point of science is to clarify and define what is real. When you allow racist crackpots to bring their bigoted fantasies to the realm of academics, then you've turned your back on reality. And that's suicidal. Because while you don't have to live in the real world, you can't live anywhere else. These asinine wannabe academics serve the same purpose as Fox News calling itself a news channel. It's racist wish fulfillment, indulging the perverted minds of racists who hate the fact that the truth couldn't be suppressed. What if networks devoted themselves to being bias confirmation for white supremacists? That's the niche that Fox News fills. They've taken refuge inside their own fantasy world, provided for them by a billionaire bigot, Rupert Murdoch. These lands of make-believe, they get to pretend that there's actually a news channel stupid enough to take the racist rantings of a Glenn Beck or a Laura Ingraham
he did.
with a straight face on camera. They get to see someone put on a suit and tie, have a chyron at the bottom of the screen, and use terms like breaking news and correspondent and back to you, John. Tell themselves, this is just like those news networks that I don't like, the real ones. But as Tucker Carlson found out the hard way, there's consequences for repeating white right-wing talking points. Yep. You only get to do it until someone decides to force you to substantiate it. Fox agreed to pay
Tucker Carlson
just to get the Dominion lawsuit to go away. You don't do that.
I'm glad they shut that bastard down. Fuck Tucker Carlson. $7 million
to pay their lawyers to fight them.
Right.
They paid it because they were told that if this went to a jury, they would lose. Their lawyers and advisors told them that they were sunk, and that a jury would look at Fox's profits and hit them just like they did Alex Jones, upwards of $1 billion.
Raiders. They're leading in the AFC West.
Instead, begged to be
the
allowed
Pony
to
Express is doing free. Great news.
They fired Tucker Carlson immediately after. And for once, the bubble that all these white right-wing nuts had been in, where they could tell themselves whatever they wanted to believe, had been burst. Their favorite racist was banished from the airwaves and not even allowed to say goodbye.
Wait a minute, I don't see Pittsburgh here listed in the AFC.
That was an L for those right-wing racists, and they couldn't pretend that it was anything else. You see, it matters who you listen to. It matters who you decide to give your attention to. It matters whose talking points and ideas that you decide to repeat or decide to spread. Now, you can decide to listen and follow fools simply because what they say tickles your ears and pleases you. But reality always has the last word. And if you're on the wrong side of reality, you won't be in reality for very much longer. That's what repeating the white right's talking points gets you. So far, the Christopher Rufos and Heather McDonalds and others have been extraordinarily lucky that their play acting at being academics hasn't resulted in real consequences. But like Fox News, the longer they play this game, the more likely it becomes that someone will eventually decide it was past time that these enemies of education learned a serious lesson. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Shrampstein, James Porter, Ronald Waits, Steve Muse, and Rebellious Zoe. Salute to them, and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.
That's right, Professor Black Truth. Thank you. That was an awesome.
We thank the professor. Also, too, sir, we're seeing that the Pony Express man is 0-3.
Stop it, Shabaka. Stop it.
Raiders are tied for first place. And
the God, the Steelers.
Steel Kirk ain't doing all that hot either.
70s. I hope they give you one of those 70 ass whoopings where it's almost close to what my team experienced today.
No, Othal, Wallace verdict.
Yeah, that's the next topic.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So, Professor Black Truth, you did an awesome job with that. Fuck DeSantis. Fuck this bullshit war on woke. To hell with all those Republicans that's running, including the jump as a human shit. And we want to make that perfectly clear. And it's just a war on black people, like we've been saying since day one. And
absolutely.
You Democratic shills and you Republican shills, y'all not going hoodwink and bamboozle us with the bullshit. Because y'all just repeating the same thing your master told you to repeat. And
exactly.
Only thing a slave can do is lead you to another master. That's it. So
pretty much
over here, where we are truly independent, free thinking black people, and you're not going to convince us that us being aware of the racial dynamics in this country, something that's wrong with that. That's not going to happen. We're going to keep
exactly.
And
exactly.
You can like it or not, And while you're at it, you can cut the goddamn check. If you're not letting up.
Absolutely.
Y'all ain't seen
and yeah, and that's what proves the point even more so, is because when you get idiots like Thomas Sewell and what the professor had said about him, which is absolutely correct, is because I've been reading his garbage for years. It's about, him and Elders must be first cousins, and then you got no punk ass.
Oh, we ain't heard nothing about Elders. Do you have an update on Elders?
Okay, the only thing with Elders is that he's garbage. Okay, is that the only thing that I have up on Elders is he's lower than shit in the toilet, and as you know, he tried to do a recall election against Gavin Newsom and lost. Okay, and really there wasn't too much difference between Gruesome Newsom and House Negro Elders. So I'm still sure he's out there ass scratching, yassa bossing, being a homie kind of nigga, just like Leo Terrell.
He's suing the Republican convention or something for not allowing him to participate in that first debate, and then the second debate is this week, Shabaka. So
with the reptilians.
The reptilians, the Republicans, yep.
Okay, all right. I'm sure we will have some comments on it, but like I said, we see that the Denver Broncos, the Pony Express, they missed 3 of their drops on the mail.
Stop the madness,
sir. Okay, and if the Raiders win, and keep in mind, I have a good mind to go down here and bet again. Biggest word in the dictionary. I know. Biggest word in the dictionary. Biggest word in the dictionary.
If was a fifth, we would all be drunk.
Well, we'll see. And they hosting Pittsburgh, I believe. Hold on, let me make sure here.
Yeah, the steel curtains, Shabaka. There's nothing to make sure about. That's what it is.
We got to make sure that they coming to us. Okay. Pittsburgh Steelers, in less than an hour.
The Cowgirls are losing. They getting
great news.
Cardinals.
Great news. Now the Raiders next week. Okay, now next week our Raiders got to travel down there to Los Angeles and smash the Chargers.
Next week our Broncos got play. Yeah, we got to travel to Soldier Field.
Oh, Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. So we're looking here at the Raiders' schedule. Okay, they're going to the Chargers. Then after that, they're hosting a Pack. Then after that,
with this goddamn distractions, we're not even supposed to be talking about no goddamn football. We're supposed to be talking about goddamn war on woke and what the hell is woke.
Okay.
How do you define woke? Lady Che, I know you got something.
I know that
what are your thoughts on the professor? The professor is back with a vengeance.
I'm glad to see that happen. I don't want a problem, sir. I mean, you just taking it out of us. I don't want a problem.
Y'all the closest to me, I guess. And on woke. Okay, now this business here on woke is that they are going through great lengths to prevent our people from realizing the truth and getting more information on the brutalization and the barbarism that was committed on us, particularly down there, on our earlier piece that you had today down there in the Carolinas and off the islands right there. And then keep in mind, too, the panties. And I'm saying that the governor of Florida wears women's underwear. You know what I'm saying? And he's a punk. And I want to make that perfectly clear. Okay, is that they always want to downplay the brutalization. Now ask yourself this.
Yeah, they always, and then they want to make you think you're crazy because you're resisting it.
Yeah, now ask yourself this. Okay, when you kick a dog, okay, even a pup, okay, and you keep kicking them, what is that pup going to do? He's going to use his natural instincts to use his natural weapons, which are his teeth, okay,
Bite your motherfucking
to sink his fangs in your ankle as well as he should.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Okay.
Right.
And then, and what it is, you know, when we listen to garbage
punch their dog, just stupid shit. Like you taking all your frustration on.
Right.
Yeah. And then when you listen to idiots like Pianki, Joe Gibson, what have you, you see what I'm saying? See, Pianki is a pacifier. Okay, all his diatribes is nothing more than pacification. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same thing with elders, pacification. And the sad part about these Negroes is they figured that they were down their own people to be accepted by white society. But what always happens is that sooner or later
they always break their tools. Professor Black Truth is the one that told us that they always break their
exactly. Okay, exactly. And just
Clark taught us that. The X-Men taught us that.
Yes, sir.
Amos taught us that.
Yes.
Nelson taught us that. Dr. Claude Anderson. They always
yes, sir.
It's just a matter of
sir.
They're gonna elevate you just so they can laugh when you fall. But it's gonna happen.
Exactly.
And they're gonna make sure it happen. But entertain me and shut up and dribble. Just catch the ball.
Yes. Yeah. And then the sad part about it is that they got so many of our people who is going with this bullshit. And then also too, when you have idiots like Pianki who is regurgitating prepackaged bullshit from the likes of Joe Gibson and what have you. And Shabaka Sankor is mentioning you guys' names. You know the number. If you don't dig it, give us a call Tuesday night.
Lost, Shabaka. Cowgirls lost.
That's great news.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Now, what about Boys Town?
The Niners. Ooh, the Niners. No, I think they had a bye week.
Okay, Boys Town. Okay, who does Boys Town play next week?
I don't know the schedule. I'm sure Jay will let us know.
Okay.
Let us know. It's gonna be ugly.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the Bay Area rivalry.
Okay, who's the Bay Area rivalry?
Y'all, Scrubs, and the 49ers.
Oh yeah, Boys Town. Well, sir, we're not Scrubs. We're just simply pirates. That's all.
Scrubby,
but we're not gonna crumb bomb on the Pony Express, because to lose by 50 points is most humiliating. So I will spare you some mercy on that. So it seems to me
you don't lose by 50 points.
Sir. Evidently, man, somebody, up there, man,
we watched that game from beginning to end, Shabaka. That whole game was rigged. It was rigged literally from beginning to end.
Okay, and where was this game played at?
In Miami. So fuck Ron.
Oh, so y'all lost to the Fish.
Fuck the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, they keep talking about the 72 Dolphins, Shabaka. They keep bringing up the fucking 72 Dolphins. They had a perfect season.
Let me tell you something. Yeah, the 72 Dolphins went undefeated, I believe.
And then they lost in the Super Bowl.
No, I think that was when they had Jim Kick, Larry Zonka, Paul Warfield, Bob Greasy was the quarterback.
Shabaka would know. I wouldn't, but Shabaka definitely.
Okay. No, I'm thinking that they had won. Yeah, because the Super Bowl was played in Los Angeles in January of '73.
That's 51.
Yeah, no, that's 50 years ago. Damn. Ooh, boy, that's how you know you're getting old, when you got memories of 50 years ago. That is 5 decades. Okay, let's pull something up here. Miami, okay, the Fish.
Yeah, that's 51 years. Awesome, man.
Okay. Okay, wait a minute. I think that was in 1972.
My mom was born in
Okay.
71. My mom was
Okay.
51.
Okay.
52.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. All right. The 72 Miami Dolphins season was the franchise's seventh season and third in the NFL. Okay. The team was led by head coach Don Shula. Let me see here. Okay, owner Joe Robbie, Don Shula. Their records was 14-0. And they won Super Bowl 7.
2 years,
yeah. No, they went undefeated that year, sir. All the way to the Super Bowl. Yes, sir, they did. Yes, sir, they did. I just pulled it up, and they won. Yeah, and they won it in South Central Los Angeles at the LA Coliseum. That sits right there on the corner of Figueroa and 39th Street. That's where the main entrance is. Yeah. Yeah. And then how many times the Pony Express been to the Super Bowl?
8.
And how many of them did they win?
Only 3.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, when they rigged that game up at the 50th Super Bowl.
That was not rigged, goddamn it, Shabaka. That you got to put that on Newton. That was Newton's fault. Newton, paid off to lose the game. Like he was doing the dumbest shit, and we was capitalizing off of it. Like
okay, sir. Let's look at something here. It was the 50th anniversary of the Panthers. Levi Stadium is 50 miles south of Oakland. Okay.
You talking about that damn Candlestick? Wasn't that game?
No, so no, sir. Okay, no, so that game there was at Levi Stadium because I think that was their inaugural year for Levi Stadium.
And where is Levi Stadium in the Bay? Is it South St. Louis? San Francisco?
No, it's in Santa Clara.
It's in Santa Clara. Okay.
It's down in Silicon Game Valley.
Okay. Yeah, the Cowgirls lost.
Yeah, that's good news. Okay. And then let's see here. And the Raiders will be on in a minute. Okay, so what's our next topic? Othal Wallace verdict.
Brother Ozone.
It's about the Ozone.
Yeah, Brother Ozone. He shot and killed a police officer back during the scandemic pandemic.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what caused all of this?
They was fucking with him. It's very obvious and apparent, but they wanted to make it seem like it's not. But it is what it is. He was defending himself against race soldiers.
Okay, now see, you got a tape on that. Let's see this.
So this is from the Fox affiliate, I guess. Live Now from Fox.
Okay.
Sorry, our viewers on the Arena Uncensored got disconnected from there too.
Okay.
We lost Yankee. Right, so this
Will the defendant please rise? The verdict appears to be in proper order. In the Circuit Court, 4th Judicial Circuit in and for Clay County, Florida. State of Florida versus Wallace. Case number 2021.
They moved it from the original county in Daytona Beach, where it happened to move it county over.
Find the defendant, Othal Wallace, as follows, as to count 1 of the indictment. Guilty of the lesser included offense of manslaughter. Special findings. If you find the defendant guilty of manslaughter, do you also find beyond a reasonable doubt that during the commission of the offense, the defendant carried or used a firearm? Yes. So say we all. You are number 48. Madam Clerk, hold the jury.
Juror 125, is this your true verdict? Yes. Juror 117, is this your true verdict? Juror 33, is this your true verdict? Yes.
Juror 48, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror 65, is this your true verdict? Juror 74, is this your true verdict?
Goddamn jury. That's probably all
Juror
white.
98, is this your true verdict?
I'm willing to bet that the majority of that jury is majority black.
Juror 74, is this your true verdict?
I certainly hope not.
Yes. Juror 121, is this your true verdict? Yes. Juror 90, is this your true verdict?
Thank you. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you for your time and consideration of this case. I also wish to advise you some very special privileges enjoyed by jurors. No juror can ever be required to talk about the discussions that occurred in the jury room, except by court order. For many centuries, our society has relied upon juries for consideration of difficult cases. We have recognized for hundreds of years that our jury's deliberations, discussions, and votes should remain their private affair so long as they wish it. Therefore, the law gives you a unique privilege not to speak about the jury's work.
If you put the camera spotlight on
to speak with anyone about your deliberations, you're also at liberty to speak with anyone. The request to discuss either your verdict or your deliberations may come from those who are simply curious, from those who might seek to find fault with you, from the media, from the attorneys, or elsewhere. It will be up to you to decide whether or not you wish to preserve your privacy as a juror. I'm going to ask you just to step into the jury room, and we have some additional paperwork for you, and then we'll formally release you from the jury service.
But that's it.
All rise for jury.
That's over.
Okay, Mr. Wallace, the jury having found you guilty, I'm going to go ahead and order you be taken into custody. Your bond will be revoked. And either side.
That's the lowest feeling in the world right there.
You're asking for a pre-sentence investigation?
Yeah, but
I'll order a pre-sentence investigation. I'll schedule sentencing. Probably 60 days down the line. I don't have a date right now.
Some stupid shit.
So we will just, is there anything else we need to address? Yes, sir. Okay, we will be adjourned. Thank you.
So how long
how old is this young man?
I was on like my age. I think I'm a little bit
Okay, and he went and he made a Facebook post about this.
That's what stupid ass Sarge was saying. Well, he ain't stupid, but you know that's what Sarge was saying.
All right.
On our last Grand Risings.
Right. So probably what's going to happen to this young man.
Okay, there's another one, Sebastian.
Thank you. You may proceed.
It's from Afro Elite. Shout out to Afro Elite. If y'all haven't subscribed to his channel, y'all definitely should as well.
You knew he was an officer, right?
You know he was an officer. Yes,
sir.
Yes, sir.
So when he approached,
so he's gonna start off showing the verdict again.
He was in his uniform, correct?
Gonna discuss
what
they
did.
Noticed a shiny badge.
What further steps we need to take in regards to his
Maybe
case.
he had one, but I didn't notice it. Yeah, at some point it became clear to me that he was an officer.
Before even hands on or anything, you police officer.
Before he put his hands
on you, and he stepped around the car and said, "How you doing? Do you live here?" As he approached you, you knew the law was
I was blinded by the light, so I wouldn't been able to see him until he was in the doorway, and that's when it became clear to me that this is a police officer.
Right. You saw the police car though in front of you, didn't you?
I did see the police car.
So police can usually drive police cars, right?
Yes.
So it would be apparent to anybody that Officer Rayner was a police officer as he's approaching, correct?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that he asked you to live here, and you didn't respond.
I did respond. I asked him what's going on.
Wait, you didn't respond with an answer, did you?
My answer was a question. I said, what's going on?
Is that how people respond to questions and other questions?
I'm not sure. I can't speak for anybody but myself.
Is that how you talk? So when someone asks you a question, you respond to that question in like,
and depending on who I'm talking to,
old boy,
I feel like
the
I
young
shouldn't
man
answer them
that
without a
knocked
question.
on
I
the
would
wrong
just give
door.
them an answer.
Right, so you didn't feel like you should have to answer Officer Rainer, did you?
I did feel like I should have to answer him, but the approach was it was a natural reaction to just say what's going on. It wasn't a matter of me being defiant towards him.
Isn't it just we asked you several times, do you live here? And none of those times you answered correct.
It is true that,
But the thing is though, is that what was the officer doing asking if you live here? Now, earlier in the prosecution's case, they said the reason why officer, I'm not even gonna call him officer. The reason why Rainer came over there is because he was looking for some stolen vehicle or some missing vehicle, and the vehicle that Ozone was in loosely matched the description of the vehicle that they had been allegedly looking for. Okay. So that's the reason at least according to the prosecution, that's the reason the whole situation happened. But the thing is that when you're looking for somebody who has a stolen vehicle, your first question is not to question if they live there. Notice how Rainer didn't ask about the vehicle the whole time, the whole interaction. He didn't ask about the vehicle. Now they're gonna play the clip eventually. They're gonna play the clip again. But he didn't ask about the vehicle. He asked if you live there. Police don't have the jurisdiction, the right to just walk up on any and everybody and just start asking questions. And you're just obligated to answer the questions just because they asked. Because he didn't tell him he was under arrest. He didn't tell him he was being detained or anything. He didn't tell him anything, which is why Ozone was like, what's going on? That's the reason.
Yeah, he asked me that. Yes, no, I asked him what's going on. I asked him.
You never said, hey, I just went right across the street there, right?
But why should he have to say that though? If the officer is there unlawfully, he shouldn't have had to say that, because it's not like Ozone had a warrant for his arrest or anything like that. So he legally do you guys understand that you legally do not have the obligation to just answer any question? You legally don't have the obligation to answer anything, to be honest. You can opt out for answering anything at all. You do not have the legal obligation to answer anything. He could have not said anything if he chose to. Okay.
Sorry, I got a call.
No, I didn't say that.
So you were non-responsive to a law enforcement officer asking you questions, correct?
You put it in that way. I didn't answer his question.
You were evasive. Is that a word?
No, I was not evasive. I was just simply asking them what's going on. That's what I would ask anybody if they approached me. Suddenly, I would just ask them what's going on if I was a bit confused as to why he was in front of me.
So if anybody approached you, you'd respond that way? Not differently with a police officer?
No, I would just respond like that. If it could have been anybody, I could. What's going on? If you just suddenly walk up and you're immediately in my personal space bubble, I would ask you what's going on. Like, you know, are you here to give me? Do you need to tell me a secret, or like what's the need for the close proximity? Is what I'm trying to find out.
Did you ever say,
I don't know why.
I asked them what's going on. I think that would have been a more universal way of attempting to get an answer. Yes.
Multiple times, correct?
He did ask me that multiple times.
Either way, he had the right to defend himself.
Multiple times, correct?
Yes.
And you didn't listen to him, did you?
No.
Right.
I did.
You're a security officer, right? Or you went to a security officer?
But okay.
What does that have
now,
to do with?
We are live. We are live right now. The case is not live. We're reviewing some of the old footage from the case a few days ago from the case. All right. Now, the officer told him, "Oh, sit back in the car. Sit back in the car." You don't have. Listen. You do not have. An officer does not have the legal right to command you to just do anything. The thing is that if he didn't want to, first off, Ozone doesn't have a warrant for his arrest, so it's not like he would assume that the officer is coming to arrest him. Officer didn't say anything about arresting him. Didn't say anything about why he was even there. If somebody who's in a badge, just say, if somebody even was an officer and you're getting out of your car and they tell you, hey, stop right there and sit down, get back in your car. It's the middle of the night and somebody's like, hey, get back in your car. You're not going to be like, well, you have a badge, so I'm just going to abide by every single rule that you have. And they do this a lot when it comes to black people, because white people be out like, I know my rights. You're not going to tell me what to do. I'm not going to listen to you. That's what white folks be like. And the officers be backing up. Sorry, sir, I didn't mean to violate your constitutional rights. I apologize. I'll just drive off. With black people, it turns into a physical altercation.
You got training, correct?
Yes.
And as a security officer, when you were trained, you learned that people respond when a person of authority asks them to do something, correct?
When I was a security officer, I never walked up on anybody.
Question is correct, yes or no?
Ask me the question again, please.
When you took this class,
the Lions won too,
you learned
Okay. The big cats,
security officer asked them to do something, correct?
And the Chargers won.
Yes, if it's recent.
Man, later for the Chargers, man.
You only have to listen to a police officer or a security officer.
I don't know who I despise worse, the Pony Express or the Chargers.
I don't know who I despise less. To become security.
Chargers belong in San Diego, not Los Angeles.
The thing is that you can tell people
Gators
what
belong
to do
in
in
hell.
situations as long as you're following a certain guideline for yourself, and it's within your right to tell that person what to do. Like, for instance, if a situation is dangerous and you're like, okay, I'm gonna need everybody to back up, I'm gonna need everybody to exit out of that door, nobody can cross this line, you have the authority to say that, because that's within your right, because your right is to protect and make sure nobody is hurt. So that would be within that right. You don't have the authority to just go walking around to random people and commanding them to sit down or commanding them to answer. You don't have, not a security officer or a police officer has the right to just go walking around like there's some type of king or god and command people to do what they want them to do. They don't have that right. So that's what OZONE is trying to say. Like, if the request is reasonable, if it's within the realm of their authority to command them to do something, which they would only have the right to command anybody to do something within certain circumstances, pretty much.
Hold on, ask me that one more time.
When you went through this training,
right,
as a security officer, right, you learned that you're going to give commands to people, and there's an expectation that they would listen to those commands, correct?
Correct.
Right. Yes. In this situation, after you receive this,
Hold on, I know I got to pause it a lot, but the thing is that when you're a security officer, you're not just a security officer for the street. You're he's a security officer for a certain event or facility or person, which they would consider that to be a bodyguard. That's what he would be. So he would still have to abide within those regulations. Okay, just because you're a security officer, if you're a security officer at a bank, you don't get to go to a grocery store and start telling people what to do. You're not within your realm of authority. If I'm a security officer at some type of concert, I don't get to go to the mall and start telling people what to do. Or if I'm a security officer at a mall, I don't get to go backstage to a concert, be like, oh, no, don't worry, I'm a security officer. No, this is not your realm right here. You still have to abide by what your realm is, why you were hired for that position.
Right.
He would tell people what to do because, let's say he was a security officer for some type of concert. The people coming into the concert, they have already signed and agreed to follow the rules of security. So that would put OZONE or any other security in that position in authority of those people who had already, before buying the tickets or coming to the event, agreed to following the rules of this event or concert or whatever the case is. So it's not a lawless thing. You don't just get a badge and then you start going around like you're a sheriff in a wild, wild west and telling people what to do.
training, you didn't listen. You didn't respond to law enforcement officer, did you, sir?
I responded by asking him what is going on.
Right, but he asked you direct questions. You can understand that late at night, right, an officer sees someone in a parking lot and they're patrolling the area, that they might want to make sure that person lives there. You agree that's the perfect thing for a law enforcement officer to do, right?
Yes, I would.
No. You don't, he doesn't have the right to question if everybody lives there. I'm gonna let it play out. I've been pausing every 5 seconds, but I'm gonna let it play out a little bit.
Would agree.
You live in that neighborhood, and if there's someone suspicious or someone who may not be there, you want the law enforcement officer to look into that and make a decision and see if that person belongs there, correct?
I would want them to do that if they don't live there.
Right, but how did Officer Rainer know you live there?
What? Hold on. Listen, I know I said I was going to stop pausing it, but I got to. This is how piss poor the prosecution was. How would Officer Rainer know if you live there? What gives, okay, even if we want to go with that argument, why would Officer Rainer suspect that Ozone didn't live there? That's the better question. You don't just get to pull up at apartment complexes and say, you know what, I'm gonna just run the gauntlet with everybody, and I'm gonna check if everybody lives here. Let me see your lease. He doesn't get to do that.
Up to 8 platforms.
Ozone didn't give him any reason to suspect that he did not live there or anything. Nobody called the police on him. It would be different if people called the police on Ozone and then he came up and asked if he lived there.
Right.
But he can't do that. You can't just walk up as an officer and be all like, oh, well, you know, I just want to know if you live here. And if he didn't, and what if he did? Let's ask that question. The officer can't make him, especially if it's not like a private property, the officer couldn't make him leave if he didn't live there.
You didn't tell him?
I'm a regular resident of the place. I park there every day.
Officer Rainer, who asked you a direct question, do you live here? How would he know you live there?
He wouldn't have known if I lived there.
Right, because you wouldn't answer him, correct?
I didn't give him an answer as to where I live. No, I didn't.
Right, because you
Okay, but my question is, what is the probable cause for asking him if he lived there?
Okay. Well, when he asked you to sit down, that was evasive. You didn't sit down, did you, sir?
No, I didn't.
Right. In fact, you testified earlier under direct that you had no other option but to kill Officer Rainer that night, correct?
After there would have been a situation where I was pulled on, pushed on, and then where I was back in between the cars and the gate, and then I seen him reaching for his waistband or whatever could have been on his waistband.
We'll get that in a minute, but you testified earlier.
Self-defense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
Oh, this is another Newton case.
After everything else I had tried, that had become the only option that seemed to.
That's what I said. No matter what his lineage is, he had the right to defend himself.
Did I try to turn around and sit in the car?
As you asked you to do?
I tried to walk away.
Sir, that's not the question.
My eyes are burning definitely now. Your game has lost the start.
You said from your training, you know.
No, oh yeah.
Well, he
5
was
minutes.
Me I wouldn't have been able to sit.
Okay, so whoa.
Sit, right? He's not right to do that point.
No,
Wait a minute. So the cop is pushing him. Did not state his probable cause.
He's only pushing you backwards actually to get you to sit down, correct?
Right, but I'm trying to walk away because
you said you had no choice then. Anything else?
After everything else I had to do, I tried to do, that had become
Is this your home opener?
the only option.
I think so, yeah.
Are you asking me, could I have sat down initially? Yes.
You didn't, did you?
No.
Right, and you could have listened
He says 82.
But the thing
Well,
is,
based on this case here of Othal Wallace, man, this case stinks to high hell.
He could have answered
Okay, the cop did not ask him.
But
it didn't state his probable cause for why he was
if you're a
approaching him.
law enforcement, quote unquote, officer, then that means that you're there to quote unquote enforce the law, which means you should not be acting unlawful. He had no legal first off, none of the officers knew he was there in the first place. Apparently, nobody and their mama knew Rainer was even there that night at that time in the first place. Okay, Rainer just went rogue and just started driving anywhere and asking people if they lived there or whatever the case is. He could have, Ozone could have, but he was in his right not to. Legally speaking, if you're being detained or arrested, you cannot legally walk away, which would be considered fleeing. You cannot leave the scene because that would be considered fleeing. Mm-hmm. If the officer pulled you over, when officers pull you over, technically speaking, you are legally detained until the altercation is over with. You're legally detained until they tell you you're free to go. Legally. The thing with this situation is that Ozone was not pulled over. Ozone had already parked the car before officer pulled up, before Rainer pulled up, and before he got out the car and started walking to him. So it's not as if he was being pulled over. He wasn't being detained or anything. And even, mind you, even when you are being detained, you don't have the legal obligation to answer any questions. If you guys didn't know that, when you're being detained, you can, and officers asking you questions, the only thing, I'm gonna pause it real quick. The only thing that you're absolutely obligated to do when an officer pulls you over is to show them your identification that you're legally able to drive the vehicle. That's pretty much all you have to do. All that, where you going, you don't have to answer that. Where you coming from, don't have to answer that. You know what I'm saying? All that, how you doing, and you smoke, you don't have to answer none of that. Do you have any legal substance in the car? Can I check the car? The only thing you would say if they ask you that is say, I don't give you permission to check my vehicle.
Right, because I've done that.
Yeah.
But that's even if you're being legally detained, you know? So if you're not being legally, you really don't have any obligation to answer just any random officer's questions if they just jump you essentially in the middle of the night and be all like, sit down right here. Where do you live? What? You don't have the legal obligation to answer that. So Ozone was in his legal obligation. He was in his right to say, you know what, I want to leave, which is what he tried to do. I could have.
Oh, they got to retry this case.
That's what was going on.
Yeah, dude needs to be in the appellate courts.
It had nothing to do with my efforts of being in control. I just wanted to understand what I was dealing with.
Now, mind you, here's the thing. Before we continue, because he's gonna start pulling up more stuff. Mind you, I want to say all of this is for them to say that what Ozone did was first degree murder, which is premeditated. If he's saying, why didn't you just obey? Why didn't you just obey? Let's just say Ozone was being the most rebellious man. To hell with you, get away from me, I'm not answering. If he was, that still does not prove that anything that happened after that was premeditated. Because based off of the prosecution's case, based off their argument, Rainer approached Ozone. Ozone did not approach Rainer. Ozone did not do anything that warranted Rainer even being there in the first place. They tried to just skip over that part, but he didn't do anything that warranted him to be there in the first place. And nobody knew he was there. So by definition of what the prosecution is saying right now, that why didn't you listen to him? Why didn't you listen to him? Okay, whatever. Why didn't you listen to him? Whatever. Why was he there in the first place? And the thing is, even if I didn't listen to him, that doesn't make anything premeditated, because by you saying that I should have just obeyed him, you are also admitting to the fact that he approached me. And I should have just listened to him. I didn't approach him. So how can anything that happened after the fact be premeditation on my behalf? You know what I'm saying? That's how the argument kind of falls apart in that part.
Wow.
Bro, if they come for me, it's a message to y'all, bro. I'm not gonna back down.
Those are my words on Instagram.
Your words about police officers, correct?
No, it's not about police officers.
Really?
Not that message is not pertaining specifically police officers. I was just.
Why don't we get into that then? You sat through the trial, correct?
I've been sitting.
Yes, sir.
That case there stinks, sir. Yep.
I'm going to show you what's in evidence in stage 45.
Yeah. That's unfathomable.
Like that's how kids from self-defense and that's some bullshit.
Yes, sir. So let's read.
Appeal.
One day, I will take great pride and honor in getting me some pig's blood. Were you talking about little piglets?
No,
talking about farm animals?
Not specifically farm animals.
You were talking about police officers, correct?
Not just people. Not like just. I'm just talking about people that don't see me as human.
What people do you refer to as pigs?
People who don't see me as human.
So you're going to get pig blood on my hands and movements. If you can't feel the enemy following me now, I'm going to be healthy for you. I pray against my enemy and I wish death to all. Right? That's your words.
Yeah, but you didn't read it as it's.
Right? Well, let's go. But I want to go on. So if you remember, you had been texting with your friend, right? And your friend actually said,
"Oh shit, this TVA time."
You should say racist, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. They're trying to do this wordplay, but basically, you should just say white people that think black people shouldn't exist. Well, like that's pretty much what you're getting at. That's pretty much what's going on.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Okay, well, based on what we're seeing right there, that case stinks to high hell. Hopefully that brother will.
Oh no, just not. There's more to this video, but we are definitely time.
Okay, we're out of time.
Yeah, we're at time.
Just the time to watch you.
Yeah, good one, Lady Che. Yes, we're in time for that as well.
In time for what?
Okay, I'm.
She said to see
you guys. I don't know what happened with that.
The CNN News, Cartoon News Network.
No, to see you lose.
We're gonna continue though.
Oh, no. Let's see here. You got 15 minutes, before kickoff. Hold on.
Yeah, we don't need the reminders.
Raiders schedule. Okay. Man, they charged 141
stuff he was saying on social media.
at 5:20 p.m.
I'm good, right? I'm good right now, right?
At All Giant Stadium or Allegiant Stadium. Okay.
Or
5:20. So kickoff. Yeah, so kickoff was in 15 minutes. Playing the steel curtain. There's an age-old rivalry that goes back 50 years.
Yeah.
All the way back to the Terry Bradshaw and Jack Tatum days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember who was the quarterback back then. Oh, yeah. Ken Stabler was the quarterback, yeah. And I think the Raiders smashed the Steelers, man, in the AFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl in 1977.
You wouldn't know.
In fact, I'm sure they was.
You're the only one out of all of us that was alive during that time.
Well, this is what happens when you get old, you know what I'm saying? And live long enough, folks, you'll get old too. Time don't wait for nobody.
You gotta live to get old. I was always taught you have to live to get old.
Well, that's true. Yeah. So based on what I'm hearing on this case here against Mr. Wallace, Othal Wallace, they need to get an appeal going on this immediately. Because if this man is a security guard, then that means that he was familiar about police procedure a little bit. You know, just with him interacting with him as a security guard in case, somebody needs security and they got to observe and report,
Yeah.
See. But then again, in a state like Florida where you got a transvestite, for a governor down there, what's to be expected?
Yeah. Fuck the whole Miami Dolphins organization. Now getting back to Ozone.
Yeah. Well, I have no love for the state of Florida. You'll never get my money again. I don't give a damn if I don't ever see that place again.
Like, I seen all I needed to see of that raggedy motherfucker.
Yeah. Okay, and then you see how they got the camera on the judge right here. See how sinister the judge is looking at him.
That's the Zoom cam.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I see here Tariq Nasheed did a video here on the Montgomery Brawl.
Jumper. Yeah, no jumper.
Yeah. And then Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson said citizens must what? Who's this clown talking about?
For migrants.
Oh yeah. This is all part 3.
Yeah.
He says that the citizens of the city of Chicago must make what for these individuals?
Accommodations for them.
Accommodations for them. I see.
Sacrifices.
Boy. Man, they wonder why we created the hashtag resurrection of the mental dead.
Look at that shit.
They want. I'm sick of it, and that is. I'm beyond sick of looking at it. I don't ever want to see it ever again, but I already know that's not going to be the case. This is 9.
This is bad. Okay, let's see here. All right, well, we need to start closing comments because I want to see the Raiders.
I know you want to see that bullshit, so yeah, let's close this thing out.
We'll be back in 2 hours, though.
Yeah, we're gonna do it to part 3. Let's leave that.
All right, okay. After I watch the Raiders smash the steel curtain.
No, after the steel curtain smashes you at home in your home.
Man, come on, hold on, man. Let me go back
that's
here.
The only thing that would make me feel remotely happy.
Yo, NFL standings.
Like real dirty.
NFL standings. Okay, no, we don't want to shop no Dallas Cowboy crap. No. And what does this thing here say?
Well, they split.
Okay, hold on. Look at this here.
Oh, they're taking the Steelers on the. They said America said 56% want the Steelers.
Man, who cares? I want to see the Raiders smash. That's what I want to see. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Raiders.
And they got their terrible towels out in Allegiant Stadium.
I'm good. Yeah, Terribles. Yeah, because Terribles is a gas station right here. You see? Yeah, and they terrible
a lot
too.
Of fans about it.
What?
I see a lot of Steelers fans out there.
They stuck in there with the Raiders fans.
Well, hopefully, man, they came out here, got drunk, lost their money, you know what I'm saying? and what have you, man,
Well, that's what they make their dollars off of. And all kinds
well,
of
this is Sin City, man.
Yeah.
This is Sin City. Okay, Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, so they saying win probability. Oh my God.
A lot more yellow than I do black.
Okay, it says on a win probability of 58.4% chance of the Steelers winning versus a 41.6 chance of the Raiders winning.
What's the percentage of the traders winning?
Okay, 41% of the Raiders. Okay. They got a 41% chance.
Yeah, now at home and your odds are that horrible.
Yeah, and then you got the steel curtain,
or your temporary
58.4. Wait a minute, man. This is some bullshit.
Damn, are the Raiders homeless, Shabaka? Are you unhoused neighbors, Shabaka?
Sir, the only thing we could say, we've been everywhere. Okay, let's see. Oh, here's something new. When you go up here to this here, to these other sites, it says you must click reject optional cookies.
Those big pirates. Better choose that.
You are agreeing to the contain collection storage and use of cookies and similar technologies on this specific property device browser.
Steelers might get their ass raped. They might not. Who knows?
America seems to disagree with both of you.
You know what I mean? God damn it, let them live.
Raiders versus Steelers.
Okay.
Okay, so they got the scrubs. Okay. All right, so they got the scrubs here. Oh man. Recent Steelers Ready games. Raiders at Steelers 10-13 at Acrisure Stadium. Okay, Steelers. Las Vegas Raiders at the Steelers.
What's that? No, that's not Jennifer Lopez. That's got her damn name right now.
All righty. So to close it out, my closing comments is in this case right here with this young man with Othal, Wallace. They need to. This is a mistrial based on what I'm seeing already.
Yeah.
Okay, Professor Black Truth. Everything he stated was the truth. Okay. Also, too, was that we were commenting on our platform. You know what I'm saying? Is definitely check out Shabaka's Black Experience.
Jay Millie was passing in.
Jay Militant.
Appreciate you.
What's cracking? Okay, Jay Militant. The Traveling Raiders about to take another L. No, man. No, Mr. Militant. No. We Pirates, man. We at home. Levi Stadium opened in 2013. Yeah, I know Levi Stadium opened in 2013, and that's where the Panthers had lost the Super Bowl to the Pony Express, and they were supposed to win.
Yes, to the Broncos. Yes, in 2016. Correct.
Yeah. You see. Okay, 2014. Okay, what's cracking with Jay Militant? He said 2014, but I do recall that they were building it. It took them a while to build that stadium. I know that, which is down in Silicon Game Valley, in Santa Clara, California. Yeah, because Santa Clara is in Santa Clara County, the city of Santa Clara, that is. And Santa Clara County is where Google is, PayPal is, you know what I'm saying? Silicon Valley's headquarters is. Then up on the east side of the bay, it's directly south of Alameda County. On the west side of the bay is directly south of San Mateo County. and Santa Clara is right below Alameda County. You see, and this is why, for the Panthers to lose 50 miles away from Oakland, disgrace. The quarterback's last name was Newton, and he was number 1. Come on, man. Let's do some math right here. Okay, and the only reason that the Pony Express won because you had the old raggedy ass Patton Manning, who ain't never won the Super Bowl before, to get a Super Bowl ring. And they gave him a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, he just came back from neck surgery. You're damn skippy.
Yeah, man. So then what they should have did, man, is that they should have had the fans of Denver sit out there, man, panhandling, man, in the 16th Street Mall. Hey, let's go buy Peyton Manning a Super Bowl ring. What?
Who's panhandling?
Who's what to you?
Shabaka, do you know who's panhandling?
Who is that?
The Gators.
Oh my God, cuz.
Man, how's the Gators panhandling, man? We out here in Sin City. They in the right place, man.
Because you have no home. You're unhoused.
Sir.
Unhoused neighbors.
Sir.
Oh, LA. Oh, here it is, Shabaka. LA Times admits reparations is winning.
Oh, well, that's a good thing. Okay. Now, when they say it's winning, hold it. Los Angeles Times. Okay, hold on.
TBA's on. So, thank y'all for tuning in to this season 3, episode 25, part 2 of the Front Line Blacc News. We'll be back later tonight or possibly tomorrow with part 3. Of season 3.
Right. Okay, and you see the colors we have right up here, gray
I don't
and
want
black.
to see that bullshit. No,
it's gray and black. Raiders.
I can't do it.
Like what?
I like the black, but I can't do it with the gray.
Sir. And you have to keep in mind that the Raiders originally are from the birthplace of a certain crew.
Yes.
Okay. Can't nobody take that away.
Since Lowndes County doesn't have a professional football team,
All right, and we all know the story there of Lowndes County. I believe that there's in Alabama, and I think where Dr. Newton had went down there to visit, and that's where they got the idea of the party right there. But they went out there. They started the patrols in Oakland when the Raiders was there.
Oh, God.
Okay, so more power to the Raiders.
Oh, God, what power?
Okay, and then also, too, with the steel curtain, you guys are just you guys weren't a flash in the past. Pittsburgh, when they had Bradshaw, John Stallworth, Franco Harris, Mean Joe Green.
I forgot. Oh my God!
And I forgot who the middle linebacker was. Oh, Jack Lambert. Yeah.
They're showing the clips now, Shabaka.
What, of the Raiders?
The Steelers.
Oh man, later for the Steelers, man.
From way back when Terry Bradshaw prior to that.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, John Madden. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, John Madden. Yeah, the coach. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Legion Stadium showed it. Oh my God. There go the Steelers. Go ahead, still.
Okay. Well, hopefully the Steelers will get stolen on. You know what I'm saying?
You keep on dreaming, buddy.
Yeah. Hopefully the Steelers will get stolen.
I think the Steelers own y'all on that rivalry. If I'm not mistaken.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I had the history there. Hold on. Let's see here. Okay. Who won?
My God. Mike Tyson.
Who won?
Guess what Mike Tyson is a fan of? Guess what team Mike Tyson is a fan of, Shabaka?
Who is that?
The Traitors.
The Raiders? Oh, sir. Sir, we appreciate the former heavyweight champ, man. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all there, like.
Yeah. Who won the most games between Raiders and Steelers? The Raiders and Steelers rivalry has been played 31 times, including 6 post games, with the Raiders only winning 17. Oh, wait a minute. Now, here's some more of a joke. And the Steelers are only winning 14. Oh.
So you're on them by 3 games?
Yeah, we up on these fleas by 3 games. All right. And then they got their logo right here. Now I don't want to share the sparks of the steel mills back there in Pittsburgh, because that's why you guys are called the Steelers. All they got is
Steelers got the most in the AFC.
steel mills. The Raiders and Steelers have played against each other a total of 31 times, including 6 postseason games. So that there would be for the AFC Championship games right there, because with them being way in the East and the Raiders in the West, that's the only way they could have played in postseason games is in AFC Championship. No wild card, no divisional playoffs. The Raiders have won 17 games, while the Steelers only won 14 games. All right. The most recent game between the 2 teams is scheduled to take place today at Allegiant Stadium. You can find more football database. All right.
Okay. Well, thank y'all for tuning in, Black family.
And more power to the Raiders. More powers to the silver and black.
Go ahead, Phil Curtin. I see you. All right, from the Mile Income City.
Yeah, and we're gonna pull down the curtains too. Yeah, we're gonna pull down that steel curtain, turn it to aluminum.
That curtain gonna get pulled on you. So have a good night.
Man, we're getting ready to smash them clowns, man.
For the night.
Well, we'll see in a few hours. I will be contacting you, brother, to let you know bad news, for the Steelers. Just like how, there was bad news for the Pony Express. Now, keep in mind, you guys got stomped.
Are you talking about the Gator Express?
No, so I'm talking about the Pony Express. I used to call them another name because, my most... Yeah, you know what my common name is for the donkeys. We're not going to go there with you.
You know what my common name is? The Gators.
What? Sir. Okay. We sympathize with the donkeys, for getting stomped badly by 50 points.
Traitor, Gator, hater.
Okay, sir. We're pirates. We're always hated. Okay. You guys even have bars there in the city of Denver, Colorado, that says that this is an official Raiders haters club.
Yes,
sir.
And this is Broncos
in Las Vegas, they have no such establishments in regard, to the Broncos.
We can.
They had no such establishments in Los Angeles in regard to the Broncos. They had no such establishments in Oakland in regard to the Broncos. You all just simply came. You guys just came there. You guys just came there and played us and get smashed. Just like when y'all needed that wild card win to advance to the wild card. And the Raiders had one of the worst seasons.
Recently.
Yeah.
I heard about Crazy Mom. What about him? Yeah, what about Cuzzo? His new album is banging. I know that. What's going on with him? Jay Millie's back. But we about to close it out, Jay. We just talking shit.
Man,
so yeah, make sure y'all like and subscribe to the Front Line Blacc News, the Revolutionary Agenda, and Sabaka's Black Experience Enhanced, and What's Cracking with Jay Melly TV, or What's Cracking TV with Jay Militant. So stay black, stay dangerous, powered, and we'll catch y'all on part 3.
Raiders.
Steel Curtain.
And Raiders, we pirates.
Raiders are homeless and are panhandling.
Sir.